Evening all. Welcome back to Beyond the Lane, episode 18. Hope everybody's keeping well. Big up to everyone watching at home. Big up to everybody in the chat. Please get involved with your comments throughout the evening. Yeah, great stuff, man. Let's say a few hellos. We have Jords on tonight, Eugene, Philly. Big up, you guys. Thanks for jumping on tonight. Do you want to say hello? How are you doing, Jords?
Yeah, I'm good, man. Thank you for having me back on the channel. Big up to everyone here. Big up to the panel. And yeah, make sure you smash a like on your way in, people, man. Show some love.
Thank you. And Philly, man, how are you?
Big up, mate. I'm good. Nice to finally be on your channel. Nice to meet Nige. Eugene again. Nice to meet you, Jules. About time we meet up, mate.
Yeah, big up, everybody. Philly, Nige, Dan, Jords, you and I talked in your comments on your stream. So good to talk to you finally. But yeah, I'm excited. Let's do this.
Yeah, thanks for all of you jumping on tonight. Yeah, we're gonna have a good show. Look, Nige, how are you, man?
Good. A little bit drained by Tottenham, but I'm good and looking forward to getting into it. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good, man. Well, look, it's not going to be a 2-hour moaning of Ange tonight. I'll tell you that much.
I can't do it anymore.
I can't do it. Look, we've got to talk about the man, of course, but look, I've got other things on the agenda tonight which we're gonna get into. So look, everybody watching, if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe to all of us, Nige and Jords. Eugene, Philly, where can you be found?
Well, go on, Eugene. You go first, mate.
I'm nowhere. I'm just, I'm in and out. I'm not on socials, so I'm not a professional. I'm just the guy who talks. So.
And Philly, what about you, man? Are you on anything?
Well, you'll see me in different various chats. I'm in Football Heritage. I am also a member of DANalyst chat with the Hotspur Hood and with Tottenham Away as well. So I need to plug those guys as well. I'm in their chats all the time. And yeah, let's do this thing.
Cheers, guys. So thank you very much. If you could all subscribe to us, that's much appreciated. And Jords, man, congratulations. You reached 1,000 subs, man. How you feeling?
Yeah, man, big up. I can only appreciate all the support people have given me. I'm surprised I got here so soon, but yeah, it's just putting in the work in it. So I suppose I just got to keep my head down, keep putting in the work, and road to 2K, man. It's as you know, there's no stopping. It's just you celebrate the moment, and then you got to carry on. And next goal.
Okay, man. Fair play to you, man. Look, so tonight we're going to touch on that Everton game. We're not going to spend long on it. Just want to quickly go over it with you guys, but not long. Obviously, we've got to talk about Ange. We're in such awful form. I think it's the worst since, is it Philly 1976, 77?
1978, I believe, is when we got relegated.
Okay, yeah, almost correct. So yeah, it's terrible form. But the main topic of the evening will be, we're going to be talking about Tottenham Squad Evolution since 2019. when Mourinho was in charge. So we're going to be looking at the managers, who they signed, who they sold, how much the managers spent, what the team and squads look like. We're going to compare them all against each other and what it looks like now under Ange. And then I'll have some questions around all of that, which you'll see on the screen. And then we'll look ahead to the two games coming up, Hoffenheim on Thursday and Leicester at the weekend. So look, let's get into it, guys. I'd say we could talk about the transfer window, but it's bloody no point, is there? There's just nothing. There's no news out there at all. So look, I can't be bothered. Look, let's say a few hello to people in the chat. Yeah, let's bring them up. George, big up to you, George. How are you tonight? Thanks for joining us. Renticket, how are you as well, man? Good to see you back. And big up to Ethan as well, man. How are you? And Charlie, how are you, man? Hope you're good. Who else is in here tonight? Let's have a look. Bran, how are you? Hope you're well. Scroll down. Perfect match. Big up, perfect match. Is that Kate? How are you doing? Thanks for joining us. And Rob, big up to you, Rob. Big up to Peter. How are you, man? And big up to Tony as well. And a couple more. Big up, Billy. Hope you're well. And Sheriff, Mark, how are you, man? Thanks for joining us also. So look, let's start off with that Everton game. Eugene, just your thoughts on it now. It's been a couple of days. Yeah, what did you make of it all?
Man, it was a tough watch. To be honest, I saw the first half and second half. I just skipped a lot of it. I was just so annoyed with what was happening. When I saw the lineup, I didn't expect to win, to be honest. We had 3 starters playing. Everybody else were, kids and backups. Everybody was asking for Ange to change it up. I think he played the back 3. It was a weird formation. At least that's what appeared to me. And it didn't really make any difference. So with the players available, I was expecting a draw, perhaps. Plus Everton. At Everton, it's never easy anyways, even though they're not a good side. But I always go back to the players. I mean, Son misses 3 clear-cut chances in the first half. He couldn't outrun Tarkowski, which was sad to see. Nobody else did much. Porro didn't do much. Kulusevski was okay, but it was a sad display. Unfortunately, not unexpected.
Yeah, I think he did. He started with a back 3, didn't he? Which was was a surprise. Like Ange hasn't done anything like that all season. So I thought, well, I know it made no difference, but I thought, cool, like maybe it would help the team, but it just shows you the team had no idea how to play it, did they? I don't know when he dropped it on them. But Philly, what's your thoughts on that game, man?
Man, I'm numb to Spurs now. I expected Everton to put up a show, because it's David Moyes' first game at Goodison, and they're leaving that club and they're leaving Goodison Park this year. So I expected them to put up a good show against Spurs, and that's what they did. But even the way we set up, the players that we have, I expected more of a fight than what we got. But am I surprised that Everton beat Spurs? Not really.
Look, I knew it would be a tough game. Don't get me wrong. I mean, we're in awful form. I didn't have a lot of confidence. I didn't think we'd win. I think possibly a draw at best. But that performance, I mean, that's got to be one of the worst, especially that first half, one of the worst of the season. And Everton, for me, they changed managers. They've got David Moyes in now, and there's obviously going to be an uplift. They need the points. They're battling the relegation as well. So, look, it wasn't a surprise that they played like that. They played with intensity. They didn't give us any time on the ball. Suddenly, Calvin-Lewin scored. He ain't scored in 12 matches. It's just like everything. I think somebody said before the game, I bet he scores, and he did. It's just typical.
Yeah, but Dan, I'm not even being nasty. How many times has Calvin-Lewin scored against Spurs? He scored quite a few goals against Spurs. I remember him scoring at the opening day of the season for Everton at White Hart Lane. So it's like he seems to erase his game against Spurs anyway.
Yeah, he does. So there was no surprise that he got on the score sheet. And then look, they were just all over us, weren't they? I mean, we did have some chances though in that first half with Son. Jords, what's going on with Son right now, man? He had 3 good chances in that first half.
He's past it, man. I think we obviously knew, not last season, the season before that, he had a drop off, and they were saying it's because he needed the surgery and he's playing through pain and so on. And so he got a lot of grace that season. Last year, I feel like, again, he got a lot of grace because he's playing in a position that wasn't his position, and he's sort of adapting to playing striker. So he got a lot of grace that year. I think this year, with those 2 years of regression, now really seeing a proper, not finished Son, because I do still think that's harsh. And I feel like with regards to his final third ability, he's still going to do a lot more than many players will. But it's Son past his best, and a lot past his best. He's never going to be the clutch player that he was for us 5 or 6 years ago. So like you mentioned, in 2019, I used to look at Son more than I did Kane for certain moments. I'm saying, give that ball to Sonny. Sonny's going to make something happen. Now you give the ball to Sonny, he's given away the responsibility. And that's the biggest problem for me. When I watched that game against Everton, I'm seeing loads of our senior players pass the responsibility of like, oh no, Son gives it to Madders. Madders, no, you do it today. Oh, Madders, gives it to Kulu. Oh no, Kulu, you do it. And then Kulu gives it to Porro, and Porro's like, no. Porro thinks he's the guy, so he steps up every single time, shooting from 40 yards out and just missing the chance, or trying to whip the ball in from, stupid positions. I think for me, when I look at that game as a whole, and I know a lot of people call me an Ange apologist and so on. Cool, that's fine. But I do think that game is wholly on Ange. I think when you like you pointed out, Dan, I don't really know when Ange communicated that it was going to be a back three, but it seemed like it wasn't long before the game because the players didn't have a clue what they were doing. I feel like we've seen back three systems at Spurs. We saw one under Conte that worked very well. And in a back three, you can defend well and you can attack good. It just depends about the players you've got in certain positions. But I've never seen Pap Sarr and Bergvall playing a double pivot before. So expecting them to cover that much midfield ground in being young players, not really being Premier League proven against a physical Everton side that we already know their midfielder, Decore and so on, they're very strong. They're P&P, pace and power. They're going to run through. It was just a lot of bad things put together, and the first half was a complete mess. And as you pointed out, I think one thing people haven't done is credited Everton enough for the way that they counteracted Spurs' approach, because they done it perfectly. David Moyes football, direct, over the top, and those long balls were killing us. Every single time they done a long ball into either Calvert-Lewin or Nige, they found themselves through on goal. And lo and behold, like you said, man, Calvert-Lewin had a field day. He could have had a hat-trick. And he doesn't score goals. Calvert-Lewin's not a goal-scoring striker, so we made him look really good. And the young kids, they just had a bad game, man. Archie Gray, can't really get onto him, but he's not a centre-back, and he did get done that day. So
he got spun, yeah.
Look, I just think it was men versus boys, weren't it, first half? Let's be real.
And to add to what George said about Son and senior players, and I've been saying it forever, our senior players are hiding from the ball. Son as a captain, when there are a bunch of kids playing new formation, a captain is supposed to be the coach on the field, on the pitch. He's supposed to step up. Sonny, he's not a captain. His head drops.
He was crying at the end, man. He was crying. What
exactly?
Sort of captain cries, man? Honestly, that's embarrassing.
Like losing a step. You know what? Like, okay, I'm frustrated. He's losing a step. He lost his pace. He has no explosive. He's finishing. He's suffering. But if you're a captain, at least be a leader. Him, Madison, senior players, not only they're not leading the squad, they're hiding from the ball, especially the midfielders. And Bergvall and Gray and Spence are the only ones who actually say, you know what, give me the ball, I'm going to make something happen. Our senior players are just not doing it. And Son...
Yeah, but Eugene, I'm not even being nasty yet. It's been like that all season. We're looking for the perfect goal. Yeah, instead of people having the guts here to shoot from outside the area, and there might be a deflection, it might go into the goal. Anything can happen here if you just take a shot. And I've been saying this for the last few years, actually. If you take a shot, and anything can happen. It can easily fly off a defender, and deflect into the goal, especially in a low line, right? When you've got all the defenders around the goal, just take a shot. But nobody wants to take a shot. No one takes responsibility. They want to pass the ball into the centre and have an easy tap-in goal. Now, that doesn't work all the time. You can't always do that all the time. So just man up and take a shot. One of you, get the guts. And as for Son crying on the football pitch, what kind of influence does that show to Archie Gray, who's 18, or Bergvall? What kind of captain is that? It's the same like when you see Ange on the touchline with his hands in his pockets. What kind of inspiration are you giving to the young players there?
It's terrible, man. Look, it was a shocking first half, man. I know we're bad, man, but I did think we'll get done 3-0 against like Everton. Like they scored 15 goals, isn't it, this season until that game, man? Like, oh my days. Nige, what did you make of it all, man?
I got to be honest. When I saw the team lineup, I thought, yes, we're going to see Gray at number 6. This is it. This is his moment.
Yep.
And even when they're warming up, like the commentators were saying, when Spurs were warming up, they were warming up with like a 4-4-2 with 2 centre backs. So I don't know when they decided they were going to suddenly play 3 at the back. It was just weird, and we were all over the place. I mean, if it wasn't for Kinski, they could have had 5 in that first half quite easily. But I agree. I feel sorry for Sonny. Listen, I'm quite negative at times. My son will say that, but I actually think Son's confidence is just shot. I don't think he, as a player, is gone. I just think his confidence is shot. And whether that's this system, I don't know. Even his finishing, like he had a couple of chances, didn't he, at the weekend? And the one right in front of goal, you put money on him now. But he just doesn't look like the same player at the moment. And I think it's all down to confidence. He's even lost his smile. Like you said, he was crying at the end. I don't know. I don't think he's gone, but I think his confidence is shot.
Just this comment here, Enrique, big up to you, man. Team's confidence has hit bottom. Ange overworks the players in training and gung-ho Ange ball. And even like that first half, like, you know, you would have thought having 3 centre-backs would have given us a bit more stability, right? But the high line was there. The high line was still there, man. That ball over the top to Calvert-Lewin, he nearly, you know, it's a poor touch from him. I mean, even though the system changed, the high line was still there, man. It's just shocking. Let's get a few more comments on the screen, see what people are saying about this game. So Rob Frank says, here we go. Gray was all over the shop. He was in 3 different positions in the first 5 minutes. And by minute 20, I don't know what our formation was. Yeah, it looked awful. The players didn't know what they were doing, did they? You had Kulu, you had Maddison on there. You would have thought you had the creativity. You've got the wing backs. Spence has got pace. Porro, you would have thought he would more suit that position, being able to get up the pitch more, cross the ball in. But there was just nothing. I did think it was a little strange, though. They didn't start with a striker. Like, I probably would have started with Lancashire. I know Richarlison's just come back from injury, but he could have started in, maybe given in the first half, given us that kind of someone to hold the ball up. But guys, what do you think about that, not starting a striker?
Nah, I don't think it would have been right to start Lancashire. I don't think, from what I've seen of him, he doesn't look ready to play in these bigger games. You see Solanke struggles with the physicality. I don't think Lancashire is going to be anywhere near ready, especially in the Premier League, because in the small appearances we've seen him in Europa League, he's been all right, but he's not been pulling up trees or anything like that. I think Sonny was the best option. I just think that the formation didn't help, you know, how it actually played out with where Sonny was taking up the positions on the pitch. He could have played striker, but he could have done like a drifting striker role, or just not trying to play the same striker that Solanke would play. They play very differently. You could play off the shoulder of the defender, play balls in behind, and just like, you know how he used to do with Mourinho, because Kane used to drop in. He was our striker.
Yeah, run between the lines. I know what you're saying. I do know what you're saying.
That's what he should have done. But I think this is where I criticize Ange a lot, is the instruction that he's giving players. It's like he's just given the instruction for his system rather than individual player instructions, because I think at times he relies on his players having the football IQ to make the right decisions, i.e. Jed Spence is a much better fullback than Porro because his football IQ is better. I feel like he makes the right decisions in moments, but Ange isn't teaching the players these little things, and that's where some of my problems are, because he should have been speaking to Sonny. You need to do this. You need to stop trying to work so hard in striker. Stop trying to drop, like, yeah, I think the instruction was really bad on the weekend.
I don't know. Yeah. I don't know, George, if I agree personally. I'd start Lancashire. I mean, with Son, we saw even last season, he cannot be our 9. He's not strong enough. He can't hold the ball up. His movement is off. I would just go with Lancashire to give him a chance. I mean, he was okay against Gala in Turkey, right? He scored. He seemed like he can do a job at least for 45 minutes, and then you can bring in Richarlison. I just don't think Son can be a number 9 for us. But
look, I mean, he threw Lancashire in at Galatasaray away, didn't he? And he grabbed the goal. Like, I mean, he probably should have started with Richarlison, given him the first half, and then maybe put Lancashire on. I don't know, man. We're desperate, aren't we, at the moment? You know, Ange tried to change the system, didn't work. We looked even worse. I don't know. And then, guys, if we look at that second half, not much really happened. I thought he made a change, didn't he? So he brought Richarlison on. He took off Radu. What about Radu performance in the first half, guys? Are you sympathetic to him, or do you just think he's just not good enough? What's everyone's thoughts on Radu?
I think he's a wrong defender for the system that we play. I said this to Stelios on one of his shows earlier in the year, and that was the one before Ragu got sent off in the Europa League. I said that he's the wrong defender for what Ange's want to do. If you want to play on the halfway line, he's too slow in his turn here to be a decent defender in that system. So when Spurs actually came in last year and bought him, I was already questioning, why are you buying that type of defender for? Because it doesn't suit the manager that you have. And it's quite a few of them are like that as well. But for Radu, when you don't play to his strengths and you're putting him against a pacey forward, or the forward that's going to run at him, you're going to see the worst of his game. And that's what I watched there when I watched Belgium versus Romania. I saw him get tore apart by KDB and by Lukaku in that game. And I'm thinking, why on earth would you keep doing that? Why play him to his worst? Why play him to his disadvantage? That's not right to me. But that's how I feel about Radu anyway.
No, spot on. I agree, Philly. He might be an okay defender in isolation, but he definitely doesn't fit the system. And what annoys me even more, against Arsenal, he's supposed to be good in the air, and he lost Gabriel for that goal. So if he can't even do that, what's the point of having him on the squad? I think everybody got overhyped because we got him over Bayern. So we said, oh my God, if Munich wanted him, it means he's a good defender. And again, for some teams that play low block or mid block, he might be good. He's solid defensively. He just doesn't fit us. And if he's struggling to, man mark on set pieces too, so what are we doing here? Then he's definitely not good enough for us.
That is literally it. Because I remember when we signed him, one of the biggest stats was pointed out was, aerially, he's one of the best aerial defenders in Serie A. We signed him because he beats guys in the air, and because that's literally the weakness of Van de Ven and Romero. He's getting bullied by Gabriel. That's a real aerial defender. Gabriel, a guy that's going to go out there, beat his man to the ball every single time. Dragusin's so far off it. But it's like you say there, I do think it's one of those ones you have to give a little bit of grace because he's only 22 years old. He wasn't actually supposed to come in and play this many games. Has he been poor? 100%. He's been one of our worst players throughout this period. And like you guys said, I don't think he is right for the system, but I think it's at that point where you can't continue to criticize a young player who's going through a bad run of form. We know what to expect of him right now. Ange needs to adapt to him or just don't play him, because now you're just leaving the guy out to dry. Because we know doing the high line with him, he's going to get cooked.
But it's crazy though. Like if you look at Archie Gray, who is a midfielder playing center back, I feel like he's been doing much better than Radu, which is crazy to me. How can an 18-year-old midfielder do a better job than Dragusin? I don't know.
I think it's because he's more adaptable to, because he played right back in Championship. He understands how quick the English football play and how he understands the positions where he needs to take up on a pitch. I think obviously where Gray isn't as good as Dragusin is in those little 1v1 moments in the defending. Dragusin's going to win the ball a lot more. He's going to be a bit more rough and tough and make sure he gets a challenge or even fouls so the player don't get past him. Gray is a very shy in those moments, and that's why DCL chopped him up and done little ballerina toes in the box, because he just wanted to, he wanted to jockey him, try and get him on his weaker side. He left way too much space in front, so he was always going to open up and shoot. And that's where Gray's been a bit poor, is his positioning in the box, and he steps off players far too much. He gives them way too much space in front of him.
Yeah, but that's something he will learn. That's something that hopefully he will learn, to develop in his game, and that's what we're hoping for. But we also can't just bring up Gray, to the point where we overlook this as well, because he's at a learning curve in his career right now, and so we have to actually give him. You can't blow him up and say, well, he's better than he is, because that will just give him overconfidence. But we can't slam him either. So it has to be a balanced view. That's what we have to give Archie Gray.
Yep.
Yeah, definitely.
I think, man, look, he's a young guy. He's playing next to another young guy. He needs to be playing next to a more experienced defender. I mean, he looked broken. You look at him on the bench in that second half, man. That guy was broken. He was cut up, bruised. I heard he hurt his ankle. Oh man, I hope he recovers from it, man. It's sad to see, man, to be honest, to see a player put like that, man. Nige, what's your thoughts on Radu? Do you agree with the guys?
No, he's totally out of position. The system's all wrong for him. But what I've seen so far, listen, I don't think he's great on the ball. I don't think he's great in the air. I think he's a bit rash in the tackle, but in his defence, he's young. And he's also playing in a defence that's absolutely wide open every single week. I mean, you look at the second goal, he was left one-on-one. And I feel for him, but, I think, again, with Sonny thing, I think a lot of it is confidence. I think the whole team is shot with confidence. And he probably shouldn't be playing as much as he is, but what can we do with the injuries we got?
So look, that second half, he made the change, and nothing really changed much. Everton was still on the front foot. I thought it wasn't until like the kind of 70th minute where we had a few chances. I think Richarlison just missed a header. Maddison had a shot, and then obviously we got that lovely. It was a lovely goal from Kulu, wasn't it? Actually, do you know what, Nige? Your video made me laugh. Do you know, you put out the other day. You said he lobbed the ball over what 25 players' head or something like that.
Something like that. There's about 18 players back, weren't there? Just on the line. Lovely goal. Lovely goal.
It was. And he can do that, Kulu. The problem with Kulu is just the consistency, right? He can be amazing, but then sometimes he just disappears, and you never know really what you're going to get from him. And look, man, we got a couple of late goals, but really we were never going to really come back in that game, and we deserved a defeat. So now, look, let's get up the league table. Was there any more points on that Everton game anybody wanted to make? I'm going to bring up the league table in a minute just to see where that leaves us. On the Everton game.
15th now, isn't it? Which is lower than Pochettino when he got sacked.
Let's have a look. Let's get the table up. Where is it? Here we go. Right, yeah. So this is the table. Look, it's not good. It's not good reading. 24 points there, seven wins. Is that 3 draws and 12 defeats? And we're 8 points off Ipswich. Now, guys, look, I know everybody's getting a bit worried we're going to be in a relegation battle, but let's be honest, it's going to take like Ipswich. It's like a 3-game swing, isn't it? Yeah, for them to get above us, and I just don't think they've got that in them to come out of that mess. I think Leicester is a game, another 3-game swing. Southampton are gone. Yeah, they're gone. They're not coming back. You look at Wolves. You know, Wolves only need to string a couple of wins together, and if we don't win, they could catch us. But come on, guys, let's go around the panel here. Nige, what's your thoughts on this relegation battle? Because I don't think we are, even though we're in a obviously desperate state. I don't think we will get in that bottom three.
Right now, we're fine. Lose to Leicester, we might have a different conversation. But right now, like you say, there's too much of a swing. You know, what we got 16 games left. If we win 5 or 6 of those 16, which I'd expect us to, then Leicester or Ipswich would have to win 9. And I just can't see that. But someone said something really interesting last night on the Two Marks show, is that after 10 games last season, we had 28 points, where we've got 24 points after 22 games this season. The difference is crazy.
What a drop off, man. What's happened this season, man? What a regression. And we're going to talk about Ange in a minute, but look, relegation for you, Nige, you think we'll be all right?
Yeah, I think we'll be fine. But listen, hey, 15th is not good enough. But
no, it's not. It's not. But you know, there's a lot of people worried that we could get in an actual proper relegation battle. So you know, we do need to discuss it. Eugene, what's your feelings around that?
No, I agree with Nige. I mean, the bottom 3 teams are so bad this year that we should be fine. Any other year, I'd be worried. But this year, I think, we'll end up maybe 11th or 12th. So we should be okay.
Okay.
Okay, meaning we're not going to get relegated. Not okay about where we should be.
Fair enough. Philly, what's your thoughts on it?
All right, now I'm gonna break the mold here. I'm gonna say this to you because I've been old enough and I've watched near enough every season of the Premier League. Now, there's one saying, and it's a big one at that, and it's no team is too big to go down. And that we heard that with Newcastle, and we heard that with Aston Villa. Now, you could be drawn into a relegation fight, and a lot of these players here are not going to be used to fighting in the relegation battle. All right, yeah, there's a big point swing. But right now, when I'm looking at Tottenham, I can't see where the next one's coming from. We hope that we get a result against Leicester, but there's no guarantee that we're going to get a result against Leicester. And as we play more and more games here, because we're going to play games on Thursday, and then we're going to play Sunday, and then Thursday again, they're going to stretch this squad to its limits. And we're going to get more players out injured. So I would not write off Tottenham being in the full relegation battle. I wouldn't write that off. I hope they're not. But like I said to you before, no team is too big to go down.
No, you're true. Like when you reflect back and you say teams like Newcastle going down, Villa, It can happen. Is this team up for the fight? And if you look at that performance against Everton at the weekend, you'd think, hell no. Like that was truly shocking. You know, we played Tamworth the other week, couldn't beat them over 90 minutes. I mean, we are in awful form. Something has to change fast. Yeah, it must do. Obviously, we've got a winnable game against Leicester at the weekend. They're in also tragic form as well. I think they're on 7 losses in a row. I mean, surely with our bad form and the players missing, we can get that one over the line, yeah?
Yeah, but Dan, what happened in the first game at Leicester? Because I swear down their head, if it wasn't for Bentancur being injured in that game, yeah, right, Leicester were actually looking like they were going to win the game, the first match of the season.
I wouldn't say that. I think the game went in their favour due to the amount of disruptions that happened in that second half. I think that the game stopped for about 10 minutes or 15 because there was a few injuries, weren't there? And then they just kept causing fouls, and it was a very disruptive game. So when I looked at it, I wouldn't say that Leicester was ever going to win. I think they just got a bit lucky that they managed to suckle the what's the word I'm looking for? Suck the momentum out of us in that second half.
You think so, George? Because I don't think so. I think Vardy had a chance here. He nearly scored, right? Yeah. And no, he scored the first one for them, and then he nearly scored again.
Yeah.
Look, Leicester game, man. It was the first game of the season, weren't it? It was Leicester's back up. They were up for it. We had loads of chances. We should have put the game to bed in the first half. We didn't. An injured Jamie Vardy got a goal. Yeah, he weren't even fully fit. And Leicester could have won it. But I think this is different times now. Like since that game, Leicester have just dropped. They've sacked their manager. They're not playing with confidence. So I just think with the context of the game, a fair point, no, Philly. Like we did struggle against them, but surely, man, even you, man, you must.
We haven't got a defense, mate. We haven't got a. Let's just look at the defense and then categorize it again because we haven't got a defense right now.
Okay, so what you think we're going to lose?
I'm not saying that. I'm not even calling a game anymore. I don't call a Spurs game anymore because I'm looking at the game, yeah, and I'm looking like something out of Harry Potter, Bertie Bott's flavored beans. I don't know what team's going to show up and when they're going to show up or where they're going to play. I can't give you that. I can't tell you what the result's going to be. So I'm just letting every game as it goes come.
Yeah, no, I get that. You've got no confidence, neither have I. But if I think of any game other than Southampton, like Leicester, surely, man, we've got to get that one over the line, man. If honestly, if we can't win that game, Ange needs to go straight.
No, we couldn't be Tamworth after 90 minutes there, brother. Come on now.
Well, you look at Palace. Palace hadn't won all season. They play us, they win. Ipswich hadn't won all season. They play us, they win. Calvert-Lewin hadn't scored in a million years. Plays us and scores. Leicester, 7 losses on the trot. Let's hope not. Let's hope not.
Look, man. Look, Leicester, yeah, surely, man. Look, what we're talking about, the relegation. Look, I've lost track there. So Philly thinks there's a big issue. Could happen. Jords, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, I'll keep it very brief. We're not getting relegated. I don't even entertain the conversation. I know it's all fun to talk about, and I might like after a game, we're getting relegated. You get a bit emotional, but we all know. Like, let's be honest, our club is a bit too big to get relegated. And I know Philly, you think there is no club too big, but there is in certain situations. When you look at where we're at right now, the clubs below us that are likely to get relegated are in very bad positions, like a Leicester, a Southampton. Ipswich, I'd say they're not in a very bad position just because they have a good manager and they've signed a few players. But I think, like you say, we've got 8 points above them. We'd need a massive swing for them to win 3 games and us to lose 3 on the trot. Us losing 3 is not hard. That's not something that's impossible to happen. But them winning 3 on the trot hasn't happened all season. Ipswich, Leicester, and Southampton aren't going to swing that many points. So definitely not going to get relegated. But I think the bigger question is, can we even get top 10? We're close to relegation and we are top 10 right now. So we need a huge swing ourselves to even bridge that gap.
Just looking at the standings, it's crazy. West Ham with the negative 16 goal difference is ahead of us. That's mental. Minus 16 goal difference for West Ham.
That is madness, isn't it?
And we're plus 10.
What is going on here, man? This don't make sense, does it? Just does not make sense. When I don't think it's ever happened, a team this low with a plus goal difference, is it? Can anyone recall what it has? I think this is a new thing.
I mean, all these goals for us came in 5 games. Every other game we're struck. So when everybody says we're bad defensively, which is true. That's an issue, but offensively we have an issue too. We struggle to score 2 goals against low blocks or mid blocks. We can only score against teams who play wide open like Villa or City. Against any other team, we barely score 2 goals. So,
and you know, with that, Eugene, that goes back to Dan's biggest point when you're talking about the revolution of how our squad's been grown.
Yep.
We've had a problem against low blocks for 5-6 years since Poch left.
Yeah,
we've
forever.
Not been able to break down low block. All of the players we signed just aren't good enough to break down low blocks. And to be honest, I think it goes to show that just the quality of players, even right now in this window, like we've been earmarked for Tyler Diblin today. Like, I've great talent. He's an amazing talent. But why are we looking at 18-year-olds and 17-year-olds to improve our attack? It makes no sense. He's not going to be the key to unlocking low blocks. He's trying to learn how to do it himself. It makes absolutely no sense.
Yeah, we need men in this team, man. We need to sign proper players, man, who's going to come in this team and sort this lot out. Yeah, where were our experienced players at the weekend? Like, you know, we had a few of them out there. Where were they? They were hiding. You know, the young players, they didn't have the best of games, but that's quite normal for the young players. They're not always going to play well. You know what I mean? They're developing, they're getting used to the team. I mean, like, it was a shocking performance, like, when you think about it. And Maddison at the end, you know, talking about it and saying, you know, oh, we're going to come back. I don't really, let's deep this now, right? How are we going to get out of this form? Like, everybody here, everyone in the chat, how are we getting out of this mess? Anyone know? Anyone got any answers for it? Because I ain't got none.
I think the only way out of the mess is signings. I just think that the bigger issue is, do we make signings? Does Levy wake up and actually want to do anything? Because I don't know if you guys saw the report today that I think he might have to finally wake up, because apparently managers aren't even looking at Spurs. Like, any manager that Spurs are contacting is sort of shutting it down because they're starting to realize Spurs is a graveyard for managers. And lo and behold, it's the truth at the moment. I mean, we've killed however many managers' career. No managers really go on after us and succeed, barring Conte, because we tried to kill him and he didn't have any of it. He wasn't having any of it. He said, Levy, I am not going down with you. You're going down by yourself. And
yeah, but George, what that happened before. When Mourinho went there, it took a world record 72 days to hire a manager. That is a world record, mate. There is no club in world football that takes 72 days to hire a manager. Mourinho got a new job at Roma before Spurs hired a new manager. That is something I've never heard of in football, mate. A sacked manager gets a new job before the club that sacked him, yeah, hired a new manager. Where else are you hearing that? The club itself is blacklisted, my friend. I'm telling you that now. Players, yeah, have to judge and say, well, is it worth me coming to Spurs? Because if I come to Spurs, am I actually going to do anything? Am I actually going to win anything? When you look at West Ham, yeah, right, they've actually got let me slow down. West Ham, yeah, have a record actually winning a trophy. The Conference League, even though it's a small little trophy, yeah, they've got a record of winning that. So players can actually see that there's potential to win something at West Ham. There's nothing at Spurs that tell you that you're going to win anything. And that's sad, brother.
I think, do you know what it is, Philly, as well? I think the problem with us in particular is Spurs want to be on the level with big clubs. So with West Ham, a lot of players accept they're going to go to West Ham and get a move to a bigger club. That's a stepping stone. Spurs are no longer a stepping stone. Daniel Levy paints the picture, and you know, the manager sells all the players that we're not a stepping stone. We are a big club. Okay, go act like a big club, and just like Romero's pointed to, just like Sonny's pointed to, the senior players, sign some players. Sign good players instead of trying to sign kids. And that's the only way out of this. To be honest, the only way out of this issue, because a lot of people are saying, sack the manager. And understandably, you know, I understand why people are frustrated, and I understand that this run of form is sackable for any team. If you're on a run of form where you're 1 win and 9, any team, any manager, Pep Guardiola, I know he's got plenty of cash, plenty of credit in the bank. But a lot of people, like nine losses out of 10 is just crazy. It's a sackable offense. But let's be honest here. Any other manager comes in, do you think they're lifting this team to much better? Again,
yeah,
when I say
definitely.
Jordan, let me ask you, when I say much better, because this is where my thing is. I don't want a manager to come in and lift this team to 10th, 9th, 8th, because let's be honest, that's the maximum capability of this squad. This squad's not a top 4 squad. It's most definitely nowhere near Newcastle and so Aston Villa or Co. So if Aston Villa and Newcastle are better than us, that doesn't take into consideration Chelsea, Liverpool, Arsenal, Man City. So we're 8th, 9th best squad in the league. That's not good enough.
George, where did you predict us to finish at the start of the season?
I said we'd finish in the European places. Didn't really know where, because I thought, some seasons players over-exceed how good they are, overperform. This season, none of our players have overperformed. All of them are underperformed. So now we're at where we're at. But I generally think if another manager comes in, they don't get us. Even if they started this season with this squad, the max they get us is 7th or 8th. This squad's not good enough. That's the issue.
Yeah, but it looks not good enough because we're rubbish right now. But I think a lot of it's on the manager. And I've got to say, I would love to see another manager see what they can do with this group of players. Look, we have got a lot of injuries, right? But we were off form even with injuries. We were so inconsistent, winning one week, losing the next. The more injuries have piled up, the less the confidence in the players. They're not performing. I do think a manager could come in and turn this around. We see it. Look, who's changed managers? West Ham have changed the managers, been an uplift. Comparable squads. Do you think we've got a better squad than West Ham?
West Ham, there's not even been an uplift, though. He's won one game, lost one game. Graham Potter's not even doing a great job. I think they're
above us, aren't they? I think.
They've gone above us, but that's just because Spurs have got worse and worse over this period. I think naturally, this is the problem, is another manager can come in over the next couple of weeks. And there is going to be an uplift because all of our players are coming back. So when the centre-backs come back, there's going to be an uplift. And the team is going to...
See, I disagree with you here because I watched our players come back. Right, this time last year, was there an injury crisis at Spurs this time last year, George? Was Romero playing this time last year?
It wasn't an injury crisis, but we had most players out because of we had the Asia Cup as well. You had Africa Cup of Nations.
Yeah. We knew the Asian Cup was coming last year. Yeah, that was already preordained before the season started. So really and truly, Spurs should have anticipated the Asia Cup and the AFCON, but they didn't do that last year, right? But this time last year, Romero was out, Maddison was out, and so was Van der Ven out. They were all out injured. Now, for going to this season, with less players, less bodies than we had last season, sounds like negligence to me. And this is why I said, that the injuries are no longer an excuse to me, because you had an excuse last year of injuries, and we played less games. To go into this season, right, with fewer players, and playing more games, you're going to have more injuries than you had last season. Now, I can't accept it. People saying, "Oh, injuries." No, the club itself knew what was going on before they even raised the prices. They knew what time it was.
Who do you blame that on? Because that's the question, I suppose. Some people put that blame on Ange. Some people put it on Levy. Some put it on both. I put it on both.
I put it on both. And I have to blame Ange here for one aspect and one aspect to know. And Eugene won't like this one. It's because Ange himself, said, I like my squad. Before the window closed, I like the way the squad is. Now, that was a big faux pas, because if you say to me that you like the squad the way it is before the window closed, right, then you accept every responsibility when there's injuries, suspension, and fatigue. Now, you should have anticipated that as a manager. Now, either you're telling me the truth, or you are treating me like I'm a fool and telling me a lie. And I don't want to hear a lie, brother. And with what Conte had done before he left, saying that, the squad wasn't there and blah, blah, blah. For Ange to go against that was even worse for me.
Nige, Eugene, what's your take on it?
No, I mean, Philly knows my thoughts. I don't take anything that any manager says at face value. Every manager has a different personality. They approach things differently. Conte was saying some crazy nonsense, but that's his way. Ange is different. He takes responsibility for everything, even things that are not up to him. And of course, he's gonna take a fall. It's natural, it's normal. I just don't read into anything he says. I just look at the track record of the club, how they treat every single manager, and as Philly said, it's negligent when the club knows that we play on 4 fronts and in Europe and cut the wage bill by 40 million and not bring anybody else in. Is it an Ange? I just don't, again, call me naive or dumb, but I don't believe any manager in the Prem who knows he'll be around for 2 years would come in, says everything is great, and then sign only kids and one senior player in Solanke. I just don't believe any manager would do that. And knowing how the club works, as we talked about Dragoshan, he doesn't fit what Ange wants to do. Johnson doesn't really fit the way Ange wants to play, and some Conte's players. So I'm looking at that, and I'm thinking, why would Ange get players who don't fit his system? It's like, why would Conte want the Richarlison and Langley? Why would Jose? Right? It's like, so when I see a pattern, I can disregard what Ange says just looking at how the club does things. That's why I cut him more slack. But overall, I agree. It's negligence on the club and maybe on Ange if he approved certain signings. But even looking at this transfer window, we're 21 days in. Some people say we're in the relegation battle. We still have all the cups to play for. There's still stuff to play for, and we don't bring anybody in. And I know for a fact, and I think Ange even said that he needs some players in, and there is nobody. So looking at that, even if you sack Ange, it doesn't matter. If we have a director of football, right, who's supposed to have a plan. Whether Ange is around or not, we should be bringing somebody in for the club for long term. Not 18-year-olds, not Dibley, who I rate, but he doesn't help us right now. We need 2-3 senior players to help us in the cups.
I agree.
And to me, that's what's confusing. Like, it makes no sense to me. It's like, what's the plan right now? Especially, how badly the club is doing and all the infighting. This is the perfect time for Levy or Mon to talk to the fans and saying, "Yep, we're in rough shape. This is not what where we should be. But here's the plan. We stick with Ange, and here's the plan. Or no, we're going to sack Ange, and here's the plan. We're going to play the kids, or we're going to do this, and that." Right now, I have no idea. It's confusing.
Yeah, but usually,
like,
if Levy did that, then he'll be held accountable, and that's the bit that's the bit that's been hurting me for the last few years. He's never been held accountable by any fan or anybody else. And what Analyse Ange said, was he thinks that everything, the hierarchy and Levy think that everything they're doing is right. And they've never been told they're doing anything wrong. And there's so many yes men upstairs that they've been told, that everything they do is correct in the football club. But there's no one telling them, look, this is not how it goes. And anyone who has had a backbone and stood up to them, they basically go very quickly. The job turns into a nightmare, like Mitchell.
Yeah, I mean, if you own a club, that's worth $8 billion, you don't listen, right? If somebody disagrees, you sack him. That's just the way Levy is.
The thing is, though, I feel like I look, Eugene, we probably agree on a lot with regards to Ange and the way that he manages, because I don't have too much problems with him. But I do have a problem when a manager comes out and defends the decisions the boards are making, because ultimately, like you said, he's taking accountability for that. So and just like all this window, he keeps coming out in every press conference saying, "I'm happy with the work the team are doing." No, you're not. You're not happy. You can't be happy. So and the word, he's contradicting himself, because he come out 3 weeks ago and said Solanke needs help. Solanke's overplayed this season. We're running him into the ground. I'm hoping we could bring in a striker and forward to help him out this window. 3 weeks later, Solanke gets injured in training. He should be coming out fuming at the fact that he's asked for a striker, asked for some help, and it's not been given. But he comes out and says, "I'm happy with the hard work, the team." Like, being a yes man, there has been a yes man, and then there's just like actually being you can be a yes man, but still have your own opinion in certain things, and still, put your little slide digs. Just be yes, but then, look, do you know what? I'm not happy with this. But he doesn't do that. He's just everything around in Spurs, the board, the situation. Yeah, it's all good. We're happy. We're fine. Everything's all happy and like happy days. And it's not. Us fans can see that. Us fans can see that there's a mess. There's a mess. We're 15th. We're literally 15th.
But George, do you have any confidence in him turning this round? You're saying you're not too critical of Ange. Do you really think he's going to turn this round?
Yeah, I think he can turn it around. I think.
Why? What do you see? What do you see?
Well, I think we've seen from when he has the players available, the football is good. There's no doubt about that. The football is good. There's definitely some holes in the system that I feel like over these past 2 months in particular, without Van der Ven and Romero, I think he's learned. I think he's learned quite a lot about his team. I think he's learned how he needs to adapt. We've seen adjustments being made by him in games. The adjustments haven't necessarily worked all the time because, again, the quality of player isn't there to maintain that. So when you have Van der Ven and Romero back, that like all these simple things. Defensively, you can afford to play a high line when you've got a fast defender. The high line does no longer look high when Van der Ven's running back and catching up to everyone. It's not
Yeah, but George, how long do you think Van der Ven can keep doing the high line, and running back without popping another hamstring? Because I reckon he'll pop another hamstring within a few weeks.
The problem with the high line is the intensity that we press at. If you're not pressing for the full 90 minutes, then you won't have to be forced to play a high line because you're going to be slowing the game down, moving. You know, similar to Arsenal, at points when they play, they slow the game right down to the point it's boring to watch because they're just moving sideways. But when you're a team that's winning, you're playing high intensity, you need to do that in games. You need to transition and you need to go from 100% to 60%, 100%. You got to phase in and out. The problem with Spurs and the problem with Ange Ball so far, and at the start of the season, most particular, was 100% for 90 minutes. He's trying to go.
Yeah, I agree with that.
He's trying to score. And it's like, no, bro, we don't need to score 4 goals every game. Score 2, get back, get deep, get defensively solid, and just move the ball around. And that's I think he may have learned some of that with using some of these younger players. Like I said, he's been trying new things out. There's been little tactical adjustments to try. I wouldn't say adjust to the players, but try to adjust to the fact that we haven't got all of our best players available. But I do agree that if the plan is to not bring no one in, and the plan isn't to improve the squad, Ange isn't the right man for us. Ange isn't the right man to get the best out of this squad.
He's broken so many records, hasn't he? Bad records. And Jazz, isn't he? The stats, the results, the data, everything is just shocking under this manager. I mean, Jords, I'm really surprised, man, that you see some hope in him. But that's how you feel, man. So many people have given up on him, and look, I don't know, man. Look, he's not going anywhere soon anyway. He's not going in January, I don't think, unless we lose to Leicester. Then he might go, but he's here for January. He's given the transfer window. Let's see who we bring in the next 9 days. And then it's the cup. For me, with Ange, it's the cup competitions. As soon as he's out of those 2, I think his time's up. And if he keeps losing, because if you look at the fixtures, there's not many wins coming up I can see us getting. Maybe we'll have Romero back, Van der Ven. It may help a bit. But the team looks shot. The confidence is gone. Like, we're in the mud, man. Honestly, we really are. We're
you know what this is?
I can't see how we can climb out of it under this manager. I can't. I've got to be honest. I can't see it.
No, I agree. You know, like everybody here knows I've been Ange. I've been arguing with everybody for the longest time. And I can see what Jords is saying.
It's got beyond that, Eugene. It's not even
I know.
It's got that bad that something has to change because we're going nowhere.
Well, and my biggest issue is with Ange, and like why I flipped somewhat at this point, is the track record of injuries. That's not a coincidence. The injuries, I just think whatever he's doing, the way we're playing, it's not sustainable because those injuries are not.
Usually, I look at the intensity, like I said earlier, and I watched a Newcastle game, and I watched how many mistakes that Bergvall made in that game. And while he was giving the ball away, because of the speed that he was playing at, I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, why are you playing at 88 miles per hour? And you keep doing it as well. So every time, the players don't have control of the football. They end up giving the ball away, and then it gives the other team the impetus to come at Spurs, and that's what causes our downfall in the end.
Yeah, no. Like, that's fair. Again, like tactically, there are definitely things he needs to improve on. But as George was saying, I think like he's trying. My issue is his squad management, not including Spence in Europa, not resting Udogie and Porro. The rotations are terrible. And then I don't think the injuries are going to stop. I just think that's the way it is. And B, I don't think he'll be back with the players that he needs to be successful. So if that's the case, if we're going to be injured, if we're going to be thin, and he won't get the players that he needs for his style to work, then he's not the right man for the job.
No one's coming in, man. No one's
exactly.
Not signing nobody. Nobody's
coming in.
No one wants to come and get in this fight with us today. Yeah, we won't push the boat out and sign top players, spend the money. Like, where's the money? Like, pay the wages, get some players in. But people are watching, they're seeing how Ange is performing so badly as a manager. He's looking at other players are looking at the team, playing with no confidence, clueless. We're so easy to beat. Anybody can beat us this season. I don't blame players not wanting to come with us right now. So what is it? A stopgap again? Another loan player, maybe somebody who's not playing for their team, who is sitting on the bench. Maybe he's thinking, well, maybe I'll have a chance at Spurs. But players are probably thinking that if they go to Spurs right now, could be ruining their career because we're just useless. We are. Look, this is the worst time I can remember how bad we've been, guys. Honestly, look, go around Jords. When's it been never this bad for you, man? When I got Nige after. When's it been this
the only
bad?
time I can really remember is Ramos. I mean, we finished 13th, and I think when Redknapp took over, I think we was in 15th when he took over. So I think that's probably the worst I've seen us. But we won a trophy, innit? So it's sort of painted over the cracks at that point. I was young, so I was just focused on the fact that we won something. I didn't really care where we was in the league. At this point, I suppose same thing though. If we do win something, it sort of papers over the cracks and you forget about the season like a little bit. But
Nige, what about you, man? For you, is this the worst you remember?
It's pretty bad. I mean, I can remember it must have been mid-90s when we were in a relegation scrap, and I think we won 2-0 at Oldham. I think it was Oldham, just to guarantee our safety. Apart from that,
what
this
year
is
was
the
that,
worst.
Nige?
I
That was
can't remember.
98.
97, 98 was it? Yeah, Samways scored, didn't he? I think.
No, that was a return of Jurgen Klinsmann, innit? When we nearly got relegated and he came back and he saved our bacon and scored 4 against Wimbledon.
Yeah. Teddy Sheringham.
But yeah, it's been pretty bad. This is as bad as it gets, I think. But going back to your original question quickly, I think signings are the only thing that's going to save us this season.
And getting some players back obviously should help.
Yeah, but that's probably not going to be till February, is it? I think for the now, if we can get a couple of loans in, and that's all it's going to be, is a couple of loans. But I would take them right now because I think we are desperate for some players.
Right. Okay. And quickly, Eugene and Philly, and then we're going to move on to the main topic of the night. We can always come back to this discussion. It probably will flag up again throughout the show. Eugene, it's bad times for you. The worst you've seen?
I mean, I'm somewhat new. I started following Spurs during AVB's time, so 15 years ago. So I'm not even looking at the standings. I'm just based on how I feel. For me personally, the only time I stopped watching games was when Conte got sacked with Stellini, and I'm like, you know what? Like, it's hopeless. I was really feeling down, and I stopped watching the games. Right now, it's close. I'm not there yet. Right now, I'm still angry, but a couple more losses, and if nothing changes, my anger might just change to indifference, and I might be like, you know what? I'm not going to watch games this year anymore. Fair
enough, man. Philly, for you, I know you've had enough.
Mate,
anyway.
I've been through Christian Gross. I've got a ticket. I've been through Jack Santini with the most painful football you'll ever see in your life. I've seen some wicked managers at Tottenham Hotspurs that you just think, you know what, I just don't want to see the football here every week. And from this, for me, yeah, I'm not even fazed by it because I said the Spurs would suffer from injuries, and lo and behold, this happened. So I'm not really. I don't really care, to be honest with you. It has to happen for me. This has to happen, I'm afraid. And it's been bad, and it's just it is what it is.
Yeah, it is, man. Look, let's get on to what we were going to talk about in the show, what I mentioned earlier about the evolution of the Spurs squad since Mourinho. So let's get that going now. Right, here we go. Let's get this going. Right, so we're going to start off with, here we go. Right, so this is when Mourinho came in. Poch got sacked around 20th of November. And if you can see that, these are the signings that he brought in. Some of them were under Pochettino, Lo Celso, Ndombele, Sessegnon came in under Pochettino. Jack Clark, I think, is that the name? That's the right. Jack Clark, guys. That's the boys at Sunderland now.
Better most of our wingers.
So that was the recruitment there overall from Mourinho from his whole time. Look at this, right? Look at this, and then if you look on the right, it's the players that we let go or loaned out. right, when Mourinho came in. Now, anybody can take this one first. Now, let's have a look at that quality or level of player that was signed under Mourinho. Any of those signings, did anyone think, cool, that's a good signing? That you know, that's really top player coming in there to help Mourinho in his kind of, well, he was only there 18 months, weren't he? But he had one summer transfer window.
There was only one player, and that one player was only because his first game lit us up and was with Bergwijn. You know, he had that debut, he come on, chested that goal, scored the 2-0 for City, and that was just like a big moment where that when you have moments like that, automatically you got the fan base behind you, and it's like, this can be something big. But he just failed flat to deceive, and what is he? He's in Saudi Arabia right now. So when you look at all these signings, they're all terrible.
Look, I mean, on reflection, this is what I'm trying to say. When they came, when you look at those signings, when we made them, did it excite you?
I mean, I was excited for Lo Celso and Dembele, just based on the clips I've seen. Everybody was gassing Dembele. He was the next big thing. And I just remember I wanted Fernandes that went to United. Instead of him, we got Lo Celso. But even then, I rated Lo Celso. I thought he's gonna be good, but it turned out, yeah, it's a shocking list.
And then you've got the Gareth Bale, who was only doing it to get fit for the his international team tournament.
The problem with this window, right, and it's there for everyone to see. It's in a documentary, All or Nothing. You can actually hear when Tottenham signed Bergwijn. Mourinho didn't want Bergwijn. Mourinho wanted a striker. He said to Levy, "I want a striker. I didn't want a winger, and I was forced to have a striker. I was forced to have a winger, not a striker." So from that time there, I just knew already that Mourinho was in the hiding to nothing. Even when he wanted a defender, instead of prioritizing a defender, the club actually went and bought Gareth Bale, because Levy had to feed his ego, because Levy promised years before that I would sign Gareth Bale back when we let him go to Real Madrid. So that was more important than buying the central defender that we needed at the time to kick on. Now, any one of these signings I agree with Sava on this one. This whole weakness makes me vomit as a fan, because none of these signings fit Mourinho. None of them actually were going to do anything under Mourinho or kicking us on to winning any trophies. But at the time, fans said, well, we're going to win something. I looked at the squad and I said, no, we're not. None of these players fitted him. All these players are basically fixer-uppers. They come into the squad and the manager fixes them up and makes them better than they are. Mourinho doesn't have time for that. He wants to win now. And if you don't buy the win now players to win, then there's no point hiring Mourinho. And it's the same with Conte, which is why I never bought into Conte. There's no point hiring a manager like that if you're not ready to win now. You're just wasting their time, and you're wasting my time as a fan.
You look at that team. So this was near about maybe Mourinho's best team, give or take. You know, you could argue some of the positions. When you look at that team, Nige, what do you think when you see that team?
It's pretty workmanlike, isn't it? I actually thought Højbjerg did well under Mourinho.
Yep, I agree.
Listen, he's not a signing that excites, but I actually thought he did really well. And I was really excited when we signed Bell. But that side there is it's relying on Kane and Son, which we did for years.
It just had so many holes, that team. When you look at the defense there, that's probably just as bad as our defense now. Reguilon and Aurier were calamity defense. Aurier, every time he defended, you're just waiting for a penalty to be given. And Reguilon just lets his man beat him every single time. Like he just goes, valet, like just go straight through. Like diabolical. Like that defense it killed Mourinho. Mourinho's a defensive manager. You need to bring in 2 proper centre-backs to play his football. Alderweireld was gone within the first, 6 to 12 months anyway.
They gave him Roden, didn't they?
Yeah, he asked
Roden.
He asked for Skriniar, I think.
Skriniar, that was it.
Skriniar got loaded.
And it's crazy too. We sold Walker for 50 million and then spent 100 on right backs over the next decade, and all of them were crap. Aurier, Trippier was okay, I guess, but we still, can't find a solid right back. Since
and then look at the squad. Like, look at the options off the bench he had. Look at
Vinicius. Jesus, yeah, it's
Doherty came in, didn't he?
Yeah.
We didn't want Doherty. He wanted Castagne. Yeah. Mourinho said he didn't want Doherty. He wanted Castagne. That was at I think he was at Atlanta at the time, and then Leicester bought him instead.
Yeah, look, it was, when you look at that team, man, it was, it was like you said, Nige, Son and Kane show, weren't it? We just sat in there, played on the counter attack. We did get some good results under Mourinho, but as soon as we started picking up that injuries in his, obviously he joined in November, he had that season. Where did he qualify us in the league? Did he get us into, was it the conference, I think?
Yeah, we did. We finished 7th.
Yeah, we got in the conference league. We had a load of injuries. And in that summer window, we signed, that was the summer we signed Bale, we signed Doherty, Fernandez, I think.
Yeah, we signed 7 players that window.
Yeah, Roden came in. Man, Vinicius as a backup striker for Kane. No, come on, it's just shocking. It's shocking. Anybody want to say anything else about that team before we move on to the next one?
No, please. Keep moving.
Does it make you feel
Can I ask you something? Yeah, when the signings that Mourinho brought in there, was there any rhyme or reason to any of the signings that he brought in? Did they actually fit his style of play, or were they just random pieces just thrown together?
Well, Mourinho's always worked with winners, isn't he? When he was Chelsea, he signed top players.
A lot of these players were signed in between when we didn't have a director of football, so it was a bit of a scattergun approach. Of like, let's speak to Levy, and then I think that might have been the back end of Hitchin, of when he was our director of football, just covering whatever. So I feel like this window of that, like, first they were terrible when there was no genuine approach to that window. Is let's see what's just going to happen, and they were just popping up and bringing, because that's the year we signed like 7 players, didn't it? And it was like literally one of those fantastic 7 type of things again. And it
Joe Hart came in.
Hitchin set us back 5, 6, 7 years.
Yeah, but why was he allowed to stay at the club for so long, Eugene? That's the bit that annoyed me. It was multiple years that this man failed at the club. Yeah, it was the likes of Skriniar. Yeah, he was able to stay in his job. He was not scrutinised or looked at properly, and that for me was stunk to high heaven.
Well, exactly. I mean, our board doesn't expect excellence. That's why our scouting team is terrible. Our medical team is terrible. We don't demand excellence on and off the pitch. That's why people like Hitchin, that's why our medical team, they're still employed. And Hitchin was there for 5 years? I don't know.
Paratici came in after Mourinho left. That's when they restructured it, didn't they, in that summer?
Yep.
Before they went to Nuno. So let's have a look at Nuno, man. It gets worse. Just watch this. Yeah, so this is Nuno's window. Yeah. He was 66.9 million euros. And these are all the players he was given in that summer transfer window. He came in late anyway, didn't he? Because we couldn't get anybody. We were after Conte. Conte turned us down. And then we turned to Nuno. And then he said he would make us proud. And then we signed the likes of Ryan Hill, Royale. Matassar came in, but he went back out on loan. Golini and Romero came in on loan, obviously with option to buy. Look at that. Look what he was given. And this is the team he had out. Anybody want to say anything about, and then if you look at the bench and this kind of, hold on, I'll go to the next slide. That will show you that. So this is what he was playing, Nuno. Yeah, this is what he's playing for that. How many games was he there for? 10 games, was it? I think he lost 5, won 5, and then got sacked.
I think it was 9.
9 or 10?
I think it was 9.
United game.
Yeah, the Brian Hill deal still makes me angry. 25 million plus Lamela, and send it back to the club where, back to where we bought him from. That was the biggest rip-off of all time. Still makes me angry.
I'll be honest. When I look at a lot of those deals done that summer, I think Paratici was, calling it. Some people called in a few favors because we got Lini and Romero for one. I'm pretty sure both of those had links to Juventus. Romero, in fact, we brought him from Juventus. It was like a weird thing. He just moved 6 months or 3 months before from Juventus to Atlanta. That was just, I'll be honest, a lot of these just look like Paratici calling in favors and doing some deals and some of the dodgy deal that he's been known for, because none of these players were signed for Nuno. Perhaps Sarr went back on loan, so he never saw him that season. Golini, I suppose, he was brought on loan to be a second goalkeeper. Royale, you only had to watch 5 minutes of him on his first appearance at Crystal Palace to know he's nothing near what we thought he was going to be.
25 million.
A Brazilian right back that doesn't know how to play football.
Yep.
How you can't write this up? Like you can't make it up.
And that was Paratici. You know, that was Paratici signing.
Paratici called in he had a lot of people calling favors for this one.
Why him?
We saw onwards from this window. I feel like he'd done really good work. This first window was horrible.
And look what he lost as well. So he lost Alderweireld, you know, very experienced. Look, he was coming to the end of his career. Sissoko went out. Whatever you thought of Sissoko, he was an experienced Premier League player. Danny Rose had gone. Lamella went the other way, Eugene, like you said, in that deal. Jack Clark didn't see him at all, did we, at Spurs? I think he was either sold. I think he might have been loaned in this window. And then you look at the team. We'll go back to that team and then look at the bench. I mean, Harry Kane didn't want to play. He wanted to transfer, didn't he? Mm-hmm. Yeah, we'll remember that debacle.
Yeah.
And we played Manchester City on the first day of the season. And we actually beat them, man. What a shock. With was it Bergwijn? I think you got the goal, wasn't it?
Sonny, wasn't it?
Oh, Sonny got the goal, yeah. But look at that team, man. Skip had to be thrown in there. I mean, Nuno was not backed at all. He was back with one player, Romero. That was it. You know, and you think, look at what he's doing now at Nottingham Forest. And now you look, and then you think back what he was given at Spurs. He was given no chance.
History though, Dan, man, because we watched those games. There was no when you talk about Ange's tactics, you say if you watch,
he didn't suit us, George. I get you, man. He doesn't suit Spurs.
It's not even that. I generally think that there was no tactics. That we didn't have a midfield at that point. There was, three players just floating in around the pitch. That system was so bad. I praise Nuno because I think he's doing some great work at Nottingham Forest. He didn't implement that system like he did at Spurs.
We were boring under Nuno. We just sat back, didn't we? A lot of the time, we didn't attack. He just tried to play like he's playing at Nottingham Forest. So why is it working for him at Nottingham Forest now, guys? What's working well there now? Because they're doing fantastic this season.
Can I ask you something?
He's had a bit of time.
Yeah,
I don't even think it's time. I think it's a mixture of a few things. He's got a very balanced squad. I think one thing you've got to give to them, if you look at their team, centre backs, Murillo, Milinkovic, Savic, actually someone we was looking at a few seasons ago. He's been class. They've got two class centre backs. You've got a right back and left back who are very balanced. On their wings, you've got two different players. You've got Alanga who's going to get in behind and run off the shoulder of the defender. And then you've got Hudson-Odoi who runs at his defender, coupled up with someone in the strike who does the hold-up play so well. Chris Wood's always been a good striker. He's just needed the platform to perform. So I think that he's got like a lot of good things that have come about. And the fact that the Nottingham Forest team has gone through the phase of signing 20 players, getting rid of the players they want, and having the squad, the core group that they need. And they're ambitious. You see, they actually go out and sign players. They just put in a bid for Johan Wissa. Like, they're trying to do things. They're trying to improve the squad even at this point. So I think it's a lot of things coming together at a good time. And Nuno's flourishing. You can't take nothing away from him.
Yep. Philip, you were going to say something, man. I think.
I remember when Nuno was hired there. He came with a certain specification, right? At Wolves there, right? He was allowed to play a different system to what he was able to play here. But when he was hired there, there was talk of him having to play 3-4-3 or something like that. What he played at Valencia, right? And that was the specification that he was hired to work at Tottenham, and he had to play that system at Spurs. Now, I never felt that system would work for him, at Spurs, not with the players that we had. But when you look at the likes of like George said, the likes of Milinkovic, he's actually a good captain as well and a leader of men. So when you've got players around him, learning from him, that will enhance their game. But when you look at this pitch here, there is no one on that pitch that I say is a captain. Lloris was captain of France, but he's not like a speaking captain. He's more of a I'll show you on the pitch here, that kind of captain for me. He's not a leader of men. And for me, Milinkovic is like that. But in that squad there was no one in there that steps out for me. And I think Nuno was compromised anyway, but that's just me.
I agree.
Any more points on that Nuno, man? Because it was it weren't good times, was it? He wasn't given any time. He wasn't given any signings. He was kind of it was never going to work, was it? And I think it was a 3-game losing spell, and we got spanked against Man United. I think do you remember it was like the battle? Who was going to get sacked, Oli or Nuno? What they
but it was also for the league, Dan. Then at one stage, Nuno was top of the league.
Yeah, that at the beginning, he won his first 3 games, but he still the place out. It was a very kind of just a 1-0. It was very close. You know, we didn't play well, but we defended well. We nicked a goal, but it ran out, didn't it? It ran out of gas. We went to Palace. Palace thrashed us. I think even we were struggling in the we were even struggling in the conference, weren't we? We lost the game against Betis away from home, and then he was gone. And then they went crying out for this man.
You know,
Conte.
I'm looking at the squad, and I'm just thinking right now to myself, where would we be without Son and Kane? Just Son and Kane, just the two of them. I mean, this whole notion that Spurs are a big club, you know, top 4s, Champions Leagues, without those two, or even without Kane or Son, I mean, would be mid-table every single year. Just looking at the players that are coming in. It's crazy.
So let's look at Conte. So Conte came in to save our season. Look, everybody was happy, weren't they? Guys all on the panel. I'm sure all of you were happy that he came in. So if you weren't, say what
I wasn't happy with Conte coming in. But I knew Conte would fail. I'm sorry. I knew Conte would fail from the moment he come in the door. And that's because I saw Mourinho. So once I saw Mourinho and I saw his struggles with the fact that he wasn't going to get the players, I didn't want Conte in the door because I thought that Spurs were wasting Conte's time. Why hire Conte if you're not going to bring the players to win now? And that's what Spurs will never do. So why hire Conte? Why waste that 4-man time?
The Paratici thing, though, wasn't there a little kind of inkling that Paratici had worked with Conte before? So us as fans thought maybe, you know, because of that relationship, that he would get the players that Conte wanted. Obviously, it didn't happen.
Well, I looked at Conte, and I said, Conte walked out on Inter Milan, and there was no jobs for him because I think he was looking for the PSG job, and there was no job for him, so he was out of work for a few months. And by the time that Spurs came back for him, he had no employment, so he thought, you know what, I'll just jump at Tottenham. That's what I took it as a matter of convenience.
Didn't we pay him like? He was the most paid manager.
15 million.
15 million a year, wasn't it?
Yeah, 15 million a year.
The cash. Yeah,
he was literally getting second highest paid. So he came to Spurs because Daniel Levy enticed him with the money. I think that's the only reason he came to Spurs. He knew what the situation would have been.
And as Philly said, the first time he said no to us, and then when he couldn't get a different job a few months later.
And that's the thing is Conte said, even when he came in, he said, he said so many times, I don't like taking jobs in the middle of the season. I don't like doing this, but I'm just going to do it for this time. The money enticed him.
For the money.
When you look at that window, I don't think that he had a bad window. I think the biggest problem was that we brought Clement Longley in. He asked for a centre-back so many times.
He asked for Bastoni.
Bastoni, that's it. He wanted Bastoni to pair with.
And who did they give him? Let's have a look. Who did they give him?
They gave him Longley on loan.
That's long gap on loan, wasn't it?
What we do.
And
Look,
then he was forced to use
look at them signings
however many times. And then we had the injury crisis, and he's playing Skip, Tanganga, Sanchez at the back. Like, mate.
Look, that first season, let's just start bring it back a little bit. You know, he made an impact. Like in that January window, we brought in Kulusevski and Bentancur, and we went on a good run in that second part of the season. We went above Arsenal. We were playing good football. We were winning. Yeah, and we made it, didn't we? And the fans were happy. Yeah, I get it, Philly. You knew it was all going to fail. Us as Spurs fans know how this story goes. Yeah, but you know, we see Conte come in, and it gets our hopes up. If you can recall back, then you're thinking, okay, he got 2 players came in January. You know, they were kind of, people called them Juventus rejects, but actually they did make a difference to the team, and we did perform well that second part of the season, guys. Talk to us about that. Like, you know, I know times have been hard being a Spurs fans, but that second half of the season was it was good.
We were brilliant. Kulusevski, that first 5 months he was here was unplayable. He was amazing. I'm like, we have got a player here. I'd love watching Spurs. You know, we weren't defensive. We played attacking football, and we were solid, and we were winning games every week. And I thought we were going places under Conte.
Yeah. Kulusevski was great. Bentancur was solid. And the second season for Conte, I felt like until the injury, he was our best player. We were doing well. Yeah, I was excited. I forgot about what Conte usually does and leaves every club in flames. And I thought, you know what, we're doing something. Next year, we're going to get some reinforcements and we're going to do bits.
So, Eugene, talk about those reinforcements. Who did we bring in for Conte in that summer?
Oh, I'm sorry, I missed it.
Who did we bring in that summer under Conte?
Oh, the following summer?
Yeah, so we got us top 4, right?
And
so
then,
you're thinking this is the time really now to push, give Conte the players, maybe we could do something. So they signed Richarlison.
Exactly.
£60 million.
That was shocking. I think even
he asked for Richarlison.
Time,
that's one thing we need to make clear. He wanted Richarlison. That was
you think so?
Well, he didn't say it was a club signing, did he? Like
Spence.
He did. He must have wanted him because he didn't turn around and say, I didn't.
Yeah. Well, Spence.
I think he wanted Martinez, but this club said no, we can't get Martinez, so they got the second best thing here, which is the pigeon. That's what I think, but that's me.
He wanted Richarlison. Martinez isn't even an option for any team. He's so loyal to Inter Milan.
We were in for him, though, Philly. You're right. We were in for him.
I remember reading the reports that he wanted Richarlison because the way that he played, the high intensity, the aggressiveness, the chaos that he brings was the type of striker that he wanted to play behind Kane. I think the issue was when, for one, he brought in Bissouma. He didn't want Bissouma. Bissouma wasn't a player that he earmarked, wasn't a player that he looked at. But the club brought him in because, as we saw, he was available for 25 mil, good price. And then you look at the players onwards from that. I think the bigger issue that you don't see looking at this was that Spurs didn't clear out enough players. We remember after Mourinho, we were all... A lot of Spurs fans were. I remember we used to do lists on Twitter, man. We used to sit there, we'd be like, 10 players need to go ASAP. We need 11 of these to go. So the point was we need to clear out deadwood. We never cleared out the deadwood. And he was forced to use quite a bit of the deadwood that following season when he got sacked. And Stellini and Mason were using all the deadwood because we didn't sign enough players. And you look at the amount of players we sent out on loan and so on. We've done all this, never brought in any to replace them. And then, I mean,
so Jords, let's actually look at this. So we brought in Richarlison, Bissouma. You don't think he really wanted? I agree with you there. I don't think he did because he didn't play. Jed Spence, he said he was a club signing. Porro didn't come in until the following January. Who else?
Porro was signed in January and then came.
Yeah, on loan. Yeah, he came, but he did actually play that second part of the season. He came in, didn't he? January. In that January transfer window.
Yeah, he wasn't very good too.
Perisic came in, guys. He wanted him. He was the first one in the door.
I was super happy for him. I was excited.
Yeah.
I really loved. I remember him doing bits for Croatia. I was super happy for Perisic.
He was pretty decent. I think he only left because he got the injury, didn't he? The ACL, and then he sort of.
I think he struggled though, didn't he, in the Premier League? He did struggle as a wing back. He was probably best off playing as like a left forward.
But Conte also said that he wasn't the player that he had at Inter Milan. When he first came through the door, he said, "This is not the player I remember." So straight away, it's like he watched the player play for him at Inter Milan, but he wasn't the player that I wanted that came to Spurs. So he had already passed it for me.
He was like 32.
He said that to Perisic. He said that to Perisic. He said Perisic wasn't the player I had at Inter Milan.
Yeah. But he was already 32.
Italian league's a lot slower.
Yeah, he was slower. He lost his pace.
Mm-hmm.
But the cross was excellent. He was the only one still who can put in a cross from any position. That, we missed that. Once he got hurt, nobody else could cross the ball for us.
So, guys, we're looking at this stat window under Conte. Weren't good enough, was it? It was not good enough.
Yeah, hardly any of the windows were good enough. And then probably this is going to happen this window, that a signing like Danjuma, because he'd asked for an attacking help all January. And I remember that was the January we played Chelsea 3 times, I'm pretty sure, and they spanked us 3 times.
Mm-hmm.
And we went into one of those games of like 9 injuries, same way we are right now. And then he brought in Dan fucking Juma, and then waited until the last day to bring in Pedro Porro. Like it was a joke at that point. Like. It's the same thing that Ange is going to be in now. When you don't sign the players until last minute, Ange is going to get sacked probably, let's say, start of February when he goes out of the competition. It's going to be like, oh, we should have gave him his players a month ago. Maybe we'd have been in a better place. But yeah.
There's a little bit of a theme going on this exercise I'm doing. Yeah. You probably can all kind of see where I'm going with this. Mm-hmm. Now, look, let's have a look at that Conte team. This is, I think, his best lineup. Guys, when you see that team, what do you think?
The worst Brazilian right back in history.
Eric Dyer, that's what I think. I'm still seeing Eric Dyer in the lineup, which was never a thing under Poch. When he first come in, he was never a starting player. And when he did, it was in DM. And now I'm seeing him in centre-back for 3 different managers, knowing that he was never good enough for one of them.
Jords, would you take Nige?
Huh? Sorry, the
Would you take Dyer now? Would you take Dyer now, Jords?
No, I wouldn't take Dyer over Bruce. I think he's absolutely awful. Dyer is one of the worst defenders I've seen play for Spurs.
Is he playing though at the moment for Bayern?
I don't believe so.
Yeah, he is playing for Bayern.
Is he?
Yeah.
Anyway, look, Ben Davies, he done all right, didn't he? Left centre back, kind of rejuvenated his career at Spurs. I felt, yeah, he did well. Longgay came in, but he struggled with the pace of it. Got done. I remember there was a game against Villa. Longley got absolutely roasted. I think it was Villa. I could be wrong. But look at that team: Holberg, Bentancur in midfield. We had injuries again that season, and we fell short. Conte got frustrated. But the thing is, right, guys, if you really think about it, even though the football wasn't great, we were 4th. We were actually 4th, and we missed out going 3rd because we didn't get it over the line against Southampton, right? And then Conte had his outburst, that famous press conference, and then he was gone. He went to Italy and he didn't come back.
First and foremost, I'm going to take it from here, Dad. Yeah, I can't stand Emerson Royal. He is the worst Brazilian right back in the history of football. I'm sorry, he is bad. The man cannot control a football. He is one of the worst right backs I've ever seen. And I've watched Brazilian football for 40 years. I can't stand him as a right back. He is awful. And I know he won a trophy for AC Milan recently, but my gosh, the award has to go to Sergio Conceição for getting that game over the line. And he needs to be the manager of Spurs, Sergio Conceição, because that man worked out miracles, man. Because that man is bad.
And Richarlison has to be the worst striker that Brazil has ever had too. So we got lucky with Emerson and Richarlison.
I think we've had all the Brazilians we've had a bad, because Lucas Moura wasn't exactly Brazilian. I mean, he didn't play like a Brazilian either. We don't sign any players that play with Brazilian flair. None of them.
Oh, Moura, man, but you got to go easy on that guy. He was a hero for us.
Exactly. Yeah, that's why I give him a pass. But
if you didn't know where he was from, you'd never predict he was a Brazilian player. That's
Yeah, he had no flair whatsoever.
That's crazy, man. That's crazy. So look at the bench he had as well. Look at the options he had. Moura was still on the bench, testing on. Huh? What's that?
It's a stronger bench. It's a stronger bench than what you've shown us the last couple of slides before. Basuma there.
Portuguese man is.
Basuma there. Porro. It is slightly stronger.
I mean, Sessegnon was hurt. Hill, I think, was out on loan. Right?
Yeah. He didn't get a look in, did he?
Was he on loan as well?
As soon as Conte turned up, Hill was shipped out.
Yeah.
Because Conte wanted men, didn't he? He didn't want kids. He didn't want to play the kids. He didn't play Spence at all.
Yeah. And Bissouma, Conte said Bissouma is lacking tactical awareness. And we're seeing that right now. So he wasn't playing at all.
Bissouma did not play, did he, for Conte?
Yep, not at all.
That was thinking back now, wasn't good. And Bissouma came in with a good reputation, didn't he? From Brighton. Well, I was surprised.
I think he didn't play because at Brighton he was playing in a midfield 3.
Yeah.
And then he came to us playing in the midfield 2, and it just didn't work in the double pivot with either him or Højbjerg, because I think Højbjerg really started to struggle in this team, and that's when you started to really see a bad side of him, because he was just getting overrun in midfield. And Ben's was trying to do the job all by himself. And to be fair, at one point our best pairing was when Skip came in and was doing a job.
Bentancur was doing really well, to be fair.
Yeah.
Right. So, and I remember that season where we were always getting overrun in midfield. I remember that conversation very well. A lot of games just like, we're getting overrun in midfield, we're getting overrun. Conte didn't adjust, or he didn't adapt. You remember that conversation?
Yep. Yeah. I remember Højbjerg pointing every time and Dyer pointing at the ball every time and not doing anything. I'm like, stop pointing, just go get the ball. And him and Højbjerg just pointing at each other.
He played every game, Højbjerg. He was a player, never got injured.
Yeah.
Those seasons under Mourinho and Conte, he was there, weren't he? Every game, he was always on the starting lineup. And Perisic, he didn't really work out, did he? As a wing back, he couldn't do it in the Premier League. I think the pace, it was too much pace for him. Yeah, and he should have been playing in where Son was. And again, we touched on it earlier. Son and Kane were the two that really kept us going. But when they got injured, I think it was Kane. There was a period he was out. That's when it all just kind of. But saying that, like I said, we were fourth still, and then he got sacked. So look, man, look at that. We'd love to be in that situation now, right?
Yeah, but like if you look at the league, to be fair, Arsenal was in the mud, Newcastle wasn't competing, Villa wasn't competing. So at that time, I just feel like the league overall wasn't as strong as it is right now. So I think with this squad with Conte right now, this year, there's no way we'd be fighting for top 4.
Yeah, but Eugene, don't you think that's even worse? That means that that Spurs have done what they always do. You never strike from a position of power. Because we were ahead of Newcastle and Arsenal at that point. So we could have really have struck while the iron was hot and actually gone for it. But instead of doing that, we just went backwards instead. And that was worse.
Yeah, that's our issue since Poch. That's what we always do.
Yeah.
That's what we've always done, full stop.
Yep.
All right, let's move on. Let's move on. What we got coming next? It's Ange. So that season, it was a mess, wasn't it? Like Conte left, we hired his number 2, Stellini, got even worse. There was that awful defeat up at St James's Park. Then he was sacked. Then Mason came in, and that season we didn't make Europe. Guys, can you recall Mason? It wasn't great, was it? He didn't do a lot, did he? Did we improve a tiny bit? I don't think we did. We weren't good.
I wasn't watching at that point.
There wasn't. So look, Ange came in. He wasn't the first choice, was he? I think what was he, 5th, 4th on the list, maybe 5th
was
in that summer.
Nagelsmann, Arne Slot, Amorim, and then Ange, I think.
Yeah,
we wanted Slot, right?
Yeah,
Slot, Nagelsmann. Yeah,
you can see.
So look, one thing I didn't mention in the previous one is the money spent. Let me just go back. So if we look at Conte was 208 million euros he spent in his time as managing Spurs. As we knew with Nuno, 66.9, and Mourinho had 145 million euros. Now let's have a look at Ange. Let's go. Let's have a look. Hold on. Here we go. Yeah. So this is Ange's time. So a lot of players went out, and then we brought in a lot of players. Guys, 397 million euros. What do you think of that figure he spent so far? And we're 15th in the table. How is this making any sense right now?
I think one thing people need to take into consideration with the number is that the prices have been a lot more inflated over the last 5 years.
Yeah.
You have to look at the market. Dom Solanke in the market 5 years ago would have been a £30 million player. He's now £65 million. So the market has inflated drastically, and we all know that cost of living crisis and all. We live in a country where everything's gone up, so everyone's aware of that. But I think the numbers are overinflated.
Johnson as well, Jords, isn't it? Johnson.
Yeah, you've got to look at some of the signings, because I think a lot of these, as you can see, we've got quite a lot of English signings in here. We had to sign English players because we cleared out. We was on a mass clear out, especially with Ange. And that's the one thing people can say we've done good is get rid of players, because we've cleared out all the dead wood, a majority of it by now, the dead wood of players, and we had to bring in homegrown players.
But I don't like that, George. What you said there, right? Look at the foreign players that we've got coming into the squad. Look at the likes of Timo Werner. This is why I didn't want Timo Werner in the summer, by the way, because I knew that we had a problem here with overseas players. So why would I want to add another bad one to the squad? Even if he adds a number, why would I want to add another bad one here, which takes the place of having a decent foreign player come into that squad that could actually do something beneficial for Spurs? That's why I didn't want Timo Werner in the squad, because I knew that would waste up a spot there that was valuable for the club itself.
Yeah, you're right. I think a lot of people didn't want it. I was with that.
As George was saying, if you look at this figure for Chelsea, that's like 4 players. Like 5 years ago, we didn't have any $100 million players now, or pound players. Now, you look at Rice, you look at Caicedo, right? You look at Enzo. So this figure, as you know, as George said, with inflation, it's not that much. Especially that we had to clear out most of the squad and bring in, completely new squad. So for me, like I said, yeah, as George said, that's not enough.
So guys,
money.
what do you think of that? So his first initial transfer window in the summer, I didn't think it was too bad. Like Madison, Van der Ven came in.
It was good.
Yeah, it was good. There were some good players who came in. Who else did we sign in that first summer window? Now I'm trying to think. The goalie, Vicario came in.
Philip.
A doggy came back, didn't he, from loan?
Mm-hmm.
He started in the team
before the Ange. Wasn't it before Ange? Or no, it might have been just as Ange.
No, he was on loan before first year was for Ange.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he came in, a new player in the team. I think that was about it. Is it Phillips? Did he come in that?
Yeah, he came
in that year.
He got loaned out. And Johnson as well. Yeah, Johnson came in as well.
Yeah.
Which was quite underwhelming, I thought. We lost Kane and we didn't really sign anybody. Who were we playing up front? Was it Richarlison, wasn't it?
Richarlison.
Son and Richarlison, yeah.
And look at the players shipped out right on the right. Yeah, look at all those players we lost since Ange has been here. Quite a lot have gone out, right? Some are on loan still. Scarlett, Gil is still on loan. I thought we sold him. Haven't we sold him yet? Is he still on loan?
He's on loan. So the deal is that he's on a loan, but there's like an option / obligation depending on how the requirements are met throughout the season, and they can choose to take that, and it's like £10 million. But I think his contract runs out pretty soon, so they're going to get him on like pretty much a free.
Well, Girona like him actually. He's actually playing well for Girona, and Girona like him, so they might well take up that option of buying him on the permanent as well. So that's a good bit of business there.
Depends if you how you look at it, Philly, because obviously we brought him for technically around 35-40 million if you're taking into consideration Lamella's valuation at the point. And then obviously we're getting an 8 million return. It's very bad business from a financial point of view.
Yeah, for Tottenham it's bad business here, but for him himself here, it was a punt in the dark, brother. It wasn't blatantly a punt in the dark. Man had went to Elche before he went to Tottenham, so it was basically a punt in the dark from Spurs. And so we take the loss here, but at least he's out of the squad now. And for me, one of the things I've always said about Spurs here is that sometimes you got to call a loss here and take the hit. And this is the problem with Spurs for me, that they haven't taken the hit for a lot of the transfers here that have gone wayward. So we end up losing the player for nothing anyway. Like Dele Alli, we paid 5 million for Ali, but basically we gave him away for nothing, man. And so sometimes you got to take the loss, man, and move on to the next target. That's what West Ham did with Hela. Remember that years ago?
Yeah, I agree, man. I agree. Jords, you've got to jump, right?
Yeah, I'm going to head out. But
let me just take this off to say and say bye-bye, man. Final words on Spurs, man. Anything you want to say before you jump off?
I just hope we can get a few wins. We've got three fair. I'd love to say easy, but nothing's an easy game for Spurs. But fairly easier games coming up with Hoffenheim, Leicester, Elfsborg. I hope we can pick up some momentum. Go into these last days of the window and be serious club. There's a lot of players out there that are opportunity signings, the Cunhas and so on, that he's pretty much rejecting the deal for Wolves. Spurs, be serious. Do some moves. Improve this fucking club, because right now we're in the gutter, we're in the mud, and it's only going to get better with signings. Nothing else is going good. But yeah, man, thank you for having me yet again.
Cheers,
man.
George. Everybody in the chat, if you haven't subscribed to George, please do. And man, we'll catch up with you soon.
Definitely. Big up to the chat. Big up to the panel. Nice to meet you guys.
Take care, man. Cheers for coming on. Right, let's get back into it. Right, because this stuff, we need to talk it out. We really do. Right, where is this thing now? I've lost it. Right. Where's it gone? Oh, here it is. Sorry, guys. Here we are. Right, so where were we? Let's have a look at the team. So this is, I don't know. Look, this is debatable. Do you think this is Ange's best team when everyone's fit?
Yeah,
that's the best team for me.
Yeah, Philly, as you say,
that's his best team for me. That is his best team. Other than probably moving, I would move Bissouma, and I'd play Sarr there or Bergvall there, but then you're wide open either. So yeah, that's the best team he's got for me. For him, but for me, I'd change the system. But that's just me.
Yeah.
Right now, I agree. I'd play Bergvall over Sarr, but at that time, Bissouma was slotted into that 8 spot.
Spence over Porro.
Now,
George,
over either.
George said. Spence
right
in.
now, with Spence over Udogie or Porro.
Yeah, I would as well. Nige, what do you think of that team?
Yeah. Listen, if everyone's on form and everyone's playing to their best ability, I think that's our best team. Obviously, looking at it now, we could change. We could all say, yeah, Porro out for Spence, or even Mikey Moore for Son. But
or Odegaard.
If everyone's playing well, haven't seen enough of him, have we?
He's been injured, hasn't he, all season?
He's going to feel like a new signing next season when he comes back. But yeah, everyone on form, that would be the team I'd pick.
And I don't like Kulusevski on the right. I just feel like he doesn't have enough pace to be that winger for us. I prefer him in the middle in Madison's role, but we don't have anybody on the right-hand side to play. So
I don't like the structure of the team altogether, my friend. I don't like the 4-3-3 like that. The balanced 4-3-3 like that, I don't like it whatsoever. I'd play a 3-4-1-2, or I'd play a 3-5-2 straight like Inter Milan with the defensive midfielder and the two ahead of him, and push the 2 wing backs up like you've got with Denzel Dumfries with Porro. That's how I would play him, because Porro is not defensively strong, but he's offensively strong. So I'd have him going forward, but I wouldn't have him coming back to defend. So I'd have 3 at the back, a structure of the 3 at the back, with Dragusin in the middle of Romero on the right and Van der Ven on the left. But that's just me structurally. That's how I'd set the team up. But I just don't like the way Ange set that team up, because I think you're wide open, because Adoshi and Porro like to go forward. Both of them can't defend. Both of them are tending to make rash mistakes, especially at the speed that they were playing the game. And that's about it really for me.
Look, that team now, what you see on the screen, it's very different to what we're seeing the last few weeks, right? You know, other than Porro, the back line's different. Even the goalie in midfield, different, especially against Everton. Madison obviously played. Solanke's now out; he's injured. Kulusevski. Look at the squad. Look on the right. Look at the squad. Look at the bench. I mean, guys, what do you think of the squad? I don't think it's good enough. I just think that summer transfer window, we should have signed more top players, experienced players. We went for too many young players, didn't we? Let's be real.
I mean, it's criminal. Like we all saw what happened to Newcastle when they had to play in Champions League. Right? Like there is no way that this squad can play on 4 fronts in the cup games and in the league. And now we're seeing it. It's just
last year, Eugene. Last year, this squad, this particular team, went to Liverpool last year and got absolutely pammed at Liverpool, at Anfield as well. We got ripped a new one at Liverpool, right? And it's only towards the end of the game that we actually came back into the game. This was the core team that went on in the last few games last season. It went on that losing run. I'm sure of it. Van der Ven was fit, Romero was fit, Porro was fit, and Adoshi was fit. Adoshi only missed the last 3 or 4 games of the season last year, but the rest of it was all there when we were getting beaten by Arsenal, when we were getting beaten by Liverpool. So even if there was no injuries here, we'd still be beaten anyway because of the way that we play.
Right. And that's why the transfer window in the summer was terrible, because we're saying, look at the way that we finished the year. We need some starters on the team, and we only brought in Solanke. So after the transfer window was over, it was like, we're not doing anything. I didn't think we would be 15th, but the top 4 conversation was over for me. Just looking at this.
Would it matter who we buy? Because with Ange's system, we're still going to be open. Porro and Udogie are not bad players, but they're just
in isolation.
So open all the time.
Are they, guys? Honestly, guys, let's rate. You rate Udogie, Porro. Are they good players?
Do we know? I mean, in isolation, I can look at Poirot and say he is a good footballer. He doesn't. I don't know if he fits Ange's system. With Udogie too, he's a young player. He was good in Italy. He had one good year for us. But do we really know if he's good or not? I'm not sure. He looks good. He has potential. The issue is, again, in the summer, like there were talks where Ange wanted Eze. He wanted Gallagher. Even though Gallagher would never come here, we knew the club knew the profile of players that Ange wants. So you cannot tell me that Eze in this team would make a difference, or another midfielder like Gallagher would make a difference. I think they would.
Anybody agree with him, Eugene, on that?
I mean,
No, I still think it would be open. Even if we bought the players that he needed, it would still be wide open, Eugene. Because I'm looking at some of the games that we play here, and the way that we push the ball up here is nothing to do with the players that we have. The way that we play in a high line here is nothing to do with the players we have. That's on Ange's system itself. So therefore, yeah, it doesn't matter who the players are that come into that team. You'll still be wide open anyway.
Yeah, perhaps. I mean, we'll still be wide open, but some goals would be there because right now we can't score. And Eze, he would add some creativity and he would chip in with some goals.
Let me say this, guys. Now, over the last few months, who's actually performed well in this team? Who's been playing well?
Kulusevski.
And he's dropped off lately.
I mean, he's better. Well, in comparison to everybody else.
Yeah, but that's bad standards, Eugene, because I see Kulusevski play in the centre. I watch Italian football every week, Eugene. I've seen him play for Parma and for Juventus play in the centre, so I can't say that. I think he's just been moved into a position that's better suited to him. On the right, yeah, he's having to use his pace, but he hasn't got any pace on the right, so therefore, positioning in the centre would be better for him anyway, because he can go left and right.
I agree 1,000%. He should be playing a 10, but Johnson is so bad, and we don't have any cover on the right that Ange has to play Kulusevski there, especially with Johnson being out. But I agree, Kulusevski should be playing down the middle.
So the answer is basically no one's playing well the last few months.
I didn't think Solanke was bad. I still rate him. You know, I like his movement. I like his hold-up play, his link-up play. He just doesn't get any service.
Billy, what's your thoughts on Solanke?
We don't play to his strengths. He needs to play within the lines. So someone like Maddison, yeah, if Solanke was able to run between the lines here, he'd be more of a threat. Because I've been speaking to this with my nephew, and he's very good at analysis on football as well. So when you look at someone Solanke, yeah, we don't play him with his right strengths. Even playing him as a 2 would even be better for the likes of Son. But Solanke was underwhelming to me. I've never been a fan of Solanke, even when he was at Chelsea and Liverpool. There's a reason that he was at Bournemouth for me. He's just not that kind of striker. He's not that level of striker that's going to take Tottenham anywhere that we actually want to go to. That's just me. But
yeah. But then if you look at the strikers market, like Gyökeres is available, but that's pretty much it. Like there's a big lack of strikers.
What's about that player who's going to Man City?
Man,
Marmoush.
Yeah.
Marmoush.
What about Patrick Schick at Leipzig? What about him? What about Openda?
Yeah, there are players out there, man. There are players out there. It's just that we just don't. I mean, Solanke for me, I think he's done okay, but again, we're not playing to his strengths. I mean, he scored. If we look at his statistics this season, what has he got? 7 in the league, I think. Let's just double check.
Yeah.
7 in the league. I mean, overall competitions, he's done okay. But look, he's, it's nothing special, is he? He's not. Do you know, there's some of these games we've had lately where we've dropped points and we needed to get someone to pull a goal out of somewhere. He's just not it, is he? He's not explosive.
No. He's not clutch. He's not a clutch striker for me.
Exactly. He's not a bad player, but he's not exactly a top player either. He's just kind of works hard, presses well, doesn't pop up with goals.
But that's the issue. Then, if you look at our squad, we don't have any game changers. We have okay players. Yeah, they're okay. They're good.
And that's what's happened.
Okay.
That's what's happened.
We have no. If you look at this list, we don't have any elite players. Not one. Son is old. He's done. Madison, I was hoping would be that guy. He's not.
Well, Madison scored 8 goals in the Premier League this season.
But all those goals came.
That's not bad in an underperforming team.
Like 4 games, I think. Right, like a lot of the games he's just missing. And I know, again, I don't want to go in my.
If you look at statistics, it's not bad, is it? For an underperforming, struggling team, he is producing, but he doesn't start all the time. You know, I've heard he's had a falling out with Ange.
But like, it's the same thing as when we look at Johnson, right? Like last year, he scored 11 goals. This year, he has goals, but when you look at him actually play, he's not good enough.
7 goals in the Premier League, Johnson.
Yeah. So with Madison, I expect more. He scored against City and Villa. He had 4 or 5 good games, but in the games where we need him, in the games when we need a senior player to step up, he just doesn't.
But didn't you feel that? But Eugene, didn't you feel that people run into Madison's space, so he hasn't got no corridors to pass the ball to? He's a creative midfielder, right? He should have people that he could pass the ball to. Most of the time, the only person who's actually free when Madison has the ball, is Johnson. And you pass the ball to Johnson, 9 times out of 10, he's going to give the ball away because he's not that good of a player to hold the ball up. So therefore, I look at him and I think your options here are very, very narrow. You don't even have the crossfield pass here to Porro to run on the overlap, because Porro doesn't do that, because Porro is inverted. The same with Adoshi. They're inverted, so they basically take up his position. Solanke, is not running between the lines, so he's not giving him the option to slide the ball through to him, right? And then when you look at Son doesn't have the pace anymore to go beat a man, so therefore he's just passing the ball back inside. So you've narrowed down the options here for a central attacking midfielder, and that's for me, it's the sad indictment of Ange's system, because Ange said, I chose Madison because he's my type of player. But when you look at Madison play for Ange, you look and think that's not his type of player. So why did you sign Madison, and why have the narrative come out that you wanted Madison when you don't fit his style of play? He doesn't fit your style of play anyway.
Yep, I agree. That's the confusing part. I agree with you on tactics. It's just, again, maybe it's just personal. Like Madison is not the type of player that I like personally. Like when you look at KDB, like I just feel like if you're an elite player, regardless of the tactics in the system, you're gonna find a way to make an impact, right? So you can say, yep, the tactics are wrong, but he's making an impact. Like KDB or even Odegaard. If you put him on any team, at least they're gonna demand the ball. They're not going to hide. With Madison, I just feel like, and I agree with you, even if the tactics are off, he hides too much. He just needs to be doing something to help the team. Like Solanke, right? He doesn't score as much as he should, but he does other things. Kulusevski as well, right?
But Madison isn't a thingy usually. Madison is just a standard box central attacking midfielder. If you actually wanted to go and buy a proper complete midfielder, then you'd look to get someone like Sergei Milinkovic-Savic. Now that is a complete midfielder, Exactly. He does the defensive work and the offensive work. But Tottenham themselves don't buy them type of players there, because you wouldn't even. But that's the type of midfielder that you want. Who's also an attacking midfielder and a defensive midfielder. That's what you call a complete midfielder, right? Yep. That's the kind of midfielder profile that I'm looking for. But Madison isn't that. Madison is just a normal book standard central attacking midfielder. That's what he does. That's all his job was at Norwich. He's always been that way. So when you profile a player, and you see that, right, then you play to that player's strengths, brother. Otherwise, if you want the all-round proper midfielder, you go for someone like Marco Sabitzer, someone like Bob Gartner, or somebody like or someone like Sergei Milinkovic-Savic, because that's what you're looking for, bro. He's not that player.
Exactly. And 1000%. He just, he falls down, holds his ankle, complains. Is what soured on me on him completely is, I believe, the West Ham game where he was subbed off at halftime, and then we went up, we scored 3 goals, and he was sitting on the bench pouting. For an assistant captain, that's unacceptable. So again, for me, it's not even his skills, it's the mentality. Like, he's just not that player. He's a luxury player. We don't need him.
Guys, there's one more thing I wanted to look at before I bring the slides off. So this was all the benches, under all the managers, right? Bench comparison. I mean, it's not good, is it? Look at it. Look at the state of it. We're just never. It's just we're never learning, are we, as a club? The recruitment strategy, especially this summer, I think it's been the worst out of them all.
It's criminal. How can anybody say that we're a big club, not just financially, but in general, and then look at this list of players and say, "Yep, we act like a big club"? It's shocking.
Yeah, but the club get away with it, so therefore they just do it more and more because they get away with it, bro. Yeah. What's the point?
Exactly. They
look how bad it is, man. Look at it. Look at the state of it. I mean, Gray, Bergvall, I've got nothing against these players, yeah? You know, they're good players. You know, they're young players and hopefully they'll come good, but I mean, you can't rely on them, man. But Ange, he said that they're going to play a part this season and they've had to play a part. And I don't think we can criticize them at all. They're doing their best. But they're playing in an underperforming team. Young players, when you have young players, you need to bring them into a team which is playing well.
Yeah, but Dan, would they play if there was no injuries? I just want to know, innit? I don't think they'll play half the games they would play, if there was no injuries, because I don't think Ange trusts the youth whatsoever. Last season, remember, we had big periods of the season, where you would say, let's play Ashley Phillips, let's play him as centre-back, and it doesn't matter how many injuries we had at centre-back, Ange refused to play Ashley Phillips, and I have a feeling, if the players had stayed fit this season, we wouldn't have seen Bergvall, we wouldn't have seen as much as Gray, we wouldn't have seen as much as so many other youngsters like Mikey Moore and that. They wouldn't have existed in the team this year. But so in injuries in some aspects it's actually a blessing for them players because they actually get to see them. And when you see some of their actions and see how Mikey Moore performs here, even for 10 minutes, and you see him put in more effort and more desire and more skill than Timo Werner, then you're actually bringing them through, and that's a good thing as well.
Yep. And I think for Gray and Bergvall, it was in their contract that they would get some playing time. That's the reason why they came here. Because I know for Gray, Liverpool and City were after him, but they couldn't give him the playing time. So he came here. Same thing with Bergvall and Barca. He came here because we promised him some playing time. So they'd probably play in cups and Europe. But I agree, Philly. I mean,
they were okay to bring in, but you had to bring in leaders, top players to help the team, and we've regressed massively. Let's be honest. This season,
the only thing I'm worried about, Dan, I love you to pieces, Dan. Here is the bit I'm worried about for Bergvall. The game against Arsenal, I felt so sorry for him. Because he was up against grown men, and he was getting ripped apart by grown men. And that for an 18-year-old is not what you need for confidence building. And that's when I said, Ange, leave the kids alone. Don't play them like that. Don't put the man out there and expose him at 18 to grown men running at him like the likes of Partey, the likes of Rice, the likes of Odegaard. Do not allow them people to just run and rip him to pieces because he's right at this point in his development here. He is delicate, right? And he needs the confidence here. He doesn't need to be shattered apart by grown men. And that's the bit that I said, you know what? Enough is enough, and do not touch the kids. Leave them alone. Don't play them, brother. If you're going to do that with them.
Kids. You've got no trust with them managing these kids, Billy. That's what you're saying. No. You think their development. Look, they're getting a lot of game time. Gray is playing a lot of games this season, isn't he? Out of position. I mean, he can hold his head up high, in my opinion. Yeah, it's not his fault we're losing. He's doing the best he can.
Look, with Bergvall, again, I don't want to go back to Madison, but with Bergvall, whether he plays a 6, 8, or a 10, I always know that he's on the pitch. He always wants the ball. He gets it. He pushes it. So again, regardless of tactics, I can tell whether he makes a mistake or not. He just wants the ball. He has it. Something about him. I'm like, you know what? There's a player in there. Whether he's going to work out, I don't know. But when I look at him, I can, he has it.
It's a evening to Brian.
How you doing, brother? You're cool.
I'm good. I'm still technically working for 20 minutes.
I'm always working, Brian. This is my work time.
I've turned the Zoom camera off and everything, but if you see me going there, it's just in case anything comes in. But how is everyone?
No, we're all good. You good, man?
Wonderful.
Oh, mate, you know what? In a way, I'm so lucky I've got a job and I'm working, but in another way, I'm so unlucky that I've got a job and I'm working because I can't tell you the levels of anger and fury that are going through me right now.
You're on the warpath.
They need to come up with a new name for it. Warpath would be the warm up for what I'm prepared to go on this. It just is. And then, do you know what? As I was watching you guys, and when Jords was on the team sheets and the players, and I just don't understand how this football club is still even called a football club. I just don't. But it's just crazy.
Brian, we didn't want to moan about Ange for the whole 2 hours, so I had to put something together because
Moan about the squad instead.
Yeah, I had there was a kind of reasoning behind it all, but it kind of basically just shows patterns of failure. But it was interesting. It got us talking. It got us some good conversations going, and hopefully people who watched found it interesting.
You know what? I don't even know if you can call it a pattern of failure anymore. Because when you say a pattern, you say, "Oh, that's nice. Look, it's a design. It's just constant." That's not a pattern. It's just constant failure. A pattern is like, "Oh, I like that wallpaper. It's got a nice design." Or, "Well, look at that. I like this phone cover. It's got a nice pattern." It's just
too nice. Too nice of a word, Brian. I think that's what you mean.
Yeah, there's loads of words I could use, but I could get your channel cancelled. Nige's channel. Philly and Eugene don't even have channels, but they get their channels cancelled just for the one.
Well, Brian, we can say that Spurs have consistency then, isn't it? Because that's what we've been hearing for a while, isn't it?
Oh yeah, we're consistently inconsistent, but consistent at the stuff that we should be. You can't make this up. Honestly, do you know what? If you went up to a person that doesn't watch football at all, has no interest in the sport, and you told them this as like a fairy tale, they'd be like, no, this ain't real. And then you'd be like, no, it is. It's Tottenham Hotspur.
Mm-hmm.
I've never been. I'm embarrassed. I am embarrassed by my football club. I'm ashamed of my football club. But it is what it is, isn't it?
Yep.
So, Brian, you've been watching in. I seen you in the chat. What's your kind of, after you saw what we went over, anything flagged up to you want to talk about? Anything jumping out at you?
Yeah, but do you know what? Like I said, I mean, Eugene is in a group with me, and it's getting very spicy and very active. And when I say spicy, thankfully, it does get spicy, but Eugene will testify to it. It's banter spicy. It's not personal, and it's not like it's not. But it's just when you look at this, I agree with a lot that Eugene says about the players need to take a hell of a lot of responsibility, and I think it clearly shows with this stream that you've done, going through all the managers. All we've done is we've replaced the bad eggs. We finally got rid of them. Everyone's like, yeah, look at that massive clear out. Look what we've done. We got rid of all the bad eggs. We just brought new ones in. That's all we've done. We got rid of the deadwood to bring in new deadwood. Or not deadwood, but people where attitudes stink. People whose attitude when the going gets tough, the weak go hiding. Players that won't put in the hard work. People that have no standards or no accountability for their. Back in the day, if this had been the 90s or whatever, they would have been having punches up in the dressing room. They'd have been saying to each other, "What the hell are you?" There would have been absolute standards to keep to and absolute warfare. But now here it's just like, yeah, well, we apologise. We'll try and come back harder.
Every year.
We'll learn from this. Well, if they claim that they're learning from this, they need to go back to school. They need to be held back a few years and promote the youth because they get what it means. It's all that happens at Spurs. As they say, pay peanuts, get monkeys, is what they say, isn't it? And if you look at it, that's all we do. We have the lowest wage bill to turnover ratio. And I've been saying for a while, when you look at this, when you pay the big money for the big players, and I do mean the big players, not the big money for the up and come whatever, you're not just buying what they bring on the pitch, you're buying what they've got up here. You're buying their intensity, you're buying their attitude, you're buying their standards, you're buying their leadership. You're buying what they do on the training pitch. You're buying so much more than what they do with their feet or their hands if they're a goalkeeper. Leadership team, what? You've got someone that will teach you how to hug someone and to do this, because that does it now. We'll get some air going. We'll see if we can fly. You've got James Maddison that will teach you how to gel your hair and maybe go to a good tattoo artist and to hold your ankle. We've got Romero that will punch his own players to celebrate a goal, but won't go nuts at players. Good leadership team. Good. So if anyone wants to hold their ankle, have a tattoo or good hairdo, and learn to fly, go to our leadership team.
Yeah, but how are we supposed to this is bad, Brian. This is why I remember I said to you in the summer, I didn't want the youngsters mixing up with this kind of thing, because that's not good to be teaching the likes of Archie Gray, the likes of Bergvall there. What are you teaching them, people, if that's what you're doing? Arm waves and fancy hair flicks. That's not teaching them anything. What are you doing to them?
No. Mate, if you look at it right now and you said, I'll ask all you and the people in the chat, if you said, in this team that we've got there, you've got one guy that, if needed, if you were walking down a dark alley and you needed someone to have your back, that would have it for you. That would stand up there no matter what to be counted. Last season, easily I would have said Højbjerg. Said this every single time with Pierre Højbjerg. If every single Spurs fan, whether you liked him or not, said, guarantee me one player that will be fit on match day. Guarantee me one. Yeah. Højbjerg, every single Spurs fan would say Pierre-Emile Højbjerg. You go back in Spurs. If I was walking down a dark alleyway, I need a leader. I could have gone Dembele, Wanyama. I could have gone up through the whole Pochettino team. All of you. I mean, go. There is not one player in that team that I'll say, do you know what? He'd run through a brick wall for me if I needed him to. Not one.
Prima donnas, man. Back in the day, Liverpool team, prima donnas, man.
We've missed Holberg this season, let's be honest.
I'd have him back now in a heartbeat.
Wherever you think of him, he offered something that experienced talking on the pitch, and we haven't replaced it. Look, we haven't, have we? Who did we bring in central midfield who's going to replace that kind of?
Yeah, but Dan, the worst thing is here, Ange said, I'm not going to buy a leader. He said, I'm going to develop a leader, but you can't develop leaders if there's no leadership in the squad whatsoever. That's rubbish, dude. So whatever you're telling me about you develop leaders, where are you developing leaders from? You're not doing that there.
It's true, man. It doesn't make sense, does it? Why wouldn't you want leaders, experience in your team if you want to be successful? If you want to go somewhere, we finished 5th last season. They should have built on that, but definitely shouldn't have regressed this much. It's definitely not.
I don't think we've got a single player in the squad that's captain material.
I agree.
Not one.
We don't. It's true. Look what's going on the pitch. Look at what happened at the weekend. Where were those? We had Maddison playing Kulu. It's true, actually. The mentality of the fans reflects the action of the ownership. Brian, do you want to comment on that?
It depends which way you look at it. It does. It does. I mean, thankfully, I won't go into that Levy bowl. I won't step
Brian can speak for me. You know me already, brother. I've been 6 years.
I won't step foot in there. I wouldn't even grace that stadium with Levy getting my oxygen, let alone my time in there. The whole of people say, like, the fan, you would hope that homegrown fan base, because of exactly what Ashley said, people would want to voice their frustrations at it. And this is what gets to me. There's so many people that want Ange out, and unfortunately I am one of them now. Fortunately or unfortunately, whatever way you want to look at it. I held out for as long as I could. It's got so bad that I've never turned on a manager, and Levy has forced me to turn on this one. And there's so many people that say they want him out, but when they get in that stadium, do you hear one Ange out some? All of a sudden, all those people that have got big mouths with keyboards that go to the stadium can't find their voices. It's incredible, that, isn't it?
Why is that then? Why are so many people behind this guy? when we're doing the worst we've done since 1970.
But no, that's the thing, Dan. They're not, according to social media. If you look at social media and everything, everyone's against him. But then you get in the stadium, and that stadium is an absolute. It's like a cemetery. It's like a cemetery in there now.
Yeah.
It's not hard to get a chant going because there's no chants. Yeah, there's not one Ange out chant. Not one. At least Levyout people try and get chants going, try and get it going. And again, it could go back to what she said about the lack in the stadium. Just no one cares. That's what that stadium has come.
Is this true here from Hotspur? We had better managers in the 90s and the 2000s and Ange, and the players
Terry
gave
Venable.
more.
Terry Venable.
I remember Terry.
Martin Yole.
Harry Redknapp.
Jerry Francis.
Pochettino. Even back in the day, we had better managers than Ange come into this club. But I'm just looking at this fan base, and I'm thinking, where is your Ordo Estefake? Where is your Diaries to do? Where is that? Where is your spine, guy? I boycotted 6 years ago. I'm not putting money into a club here that sits there and voluntarily entered a self-imposed transfer ban. I'm not doing that. As a fan, I'm not paying in while this club sits there and does nothing for a year. How dare you do that to me as a fan? That's insulting me and insulting my intelligence as a fan. And that is why I boycotted, brother. I'm not doing that. And every time you hear the same manipulation, bet behind the team, are you having a laugh?
Yeah.
I can't get behind the team here if Daniel Levy doesn't get behind the manager. That's rubbish. That's telling me to back something when he himself isn't backing it himself. So I can't back the manager. I can't do that. I have to see the club back the manager properly. Give the manager the players that he needs to play it properly. And if you're not going to give the manager the players that he needs to do it properly, don't waste my time as a fan and don't waste his time as a manager, brother, because you're setting the man up to fail. Now, I don't want to do that, and that's the end of my discussion with the manager now.
So guys, when is the fan base going to actually turn then? Because the Levyout chants are slowly coming in, aren't they? When is it going to be a defeat against Leicester? Is it actually getting in that bottom three that fans will wake up and see it?
No. West Ham won a trophy, Dan, and the fans didn't do anything. How can they sit there and let West Ham win a trophy? If Arsenal win a trophy, they wouldn't do nothing anyway. This fan base, I don't know what has to happen for the fans to say, you know what, enough is enough. We had a 6% price increase this summer, yeah, and we've been worse this summer than we were last summer. We were structurally not even prepared to go into the season. That's why we have injury crisis right now, because we weren't ready to go into the season. But Levy sat there in the summer, did a 6% price increase. So where am I getting the money? Where is the money coming from here to constitute for the 6% price increase in the football team? Where is that coming from? It doesn't make any sense, man. And I'm not compensating for Daniel Levy. I'm not doing that.
You know what, Dan, and just very quickly, and there's a few people in here that will appreciate and understand where I'm going with this because they've been with us in the community a long time. Phil P is going to be used in this monologue that I'm about to go on, but the wonderful diamond that is Sue Smith, and people wonder why I always do. She was, when I went on We Are Tottenham TV and started it, and started my whole thing, she has seen me from start to finish, the evolution of the way I try and get my message across and everything. No matter where I've been, she's been there to support me. That's why she is. You've got Ellie in there, you've got Kate in there, you've got a lot of people in this chat that have known me for a long time, whether it be because of actually meeting me face to face or watching what I say or the channels I go on or what I do on social media or protest. But the reason I go back to why I mentioned Philly as well is it was last September or October, 3 years ago, or 2 years ago, it'll be 3 years this September. Now, this man came and saw me at an NFL protest outside when I can't remember what team it was, where the group that I proudly stand with started. He was there walking up and down all the way up the high road with Levyout banners, placards, everything.
Someone needs a shout out, Brian. Before we do that, I want to shout out a big fan, yeah, and that is Graham, Because
Of course,
Graham walked up and down that street, and that man deserves so many placards, guy.
Yep, that guy. So Graham was with us. Phil's acting as our bodyguard actually, because Phil's like, when you're walking down next to Phil, you look like a very small person. Phil was there doing security watch and holding the placard, but that was 3 years ago when we were at the NFL protest, warning everyone. I mean, people were doing it before. It weren't just us, the chicken or the egg kind of thing. It's been, but we stood up and be counted. Then I was looking through my calendar now. 3 years today was day 6 of 16 days of me, Ryan, and Graham being outside the training ground. Started off with 3 people, got bigger and bigger and bigger. The 3 of us took so much flack. Got a lot of praise, but got, oh my God, the abuse. But we stood our ground. Then we started doing outside the club shop. And everyone knows the antics we've got up to inside the pitch. Every single year, every single window, every single home game, saying that this is going to happen. It's only going to get worse. Stand up and fight. This is going to... No. Good times, attractive football. Oh, look at that. We've got this. We've got that. Nothing to do with football, but we've got it. So let's celebrate it because now the football team has it. And I didn't even know. I mean, the thing that sent me loopy today, I think it was on your stream where you said, take away those 10 games and add the points to the last 28. We've got less points this season. I mean, these kind of things that are coming up are blowing my mind. They are blowing my mind. How the one that finally tipped me to be an Ange out is when after the Filth game, I was walking to the little section where I do my bit for We Are Tottenham TV if I'm staying at the yard for a bit. And I got a message saying, Brian, you do realise now we've lost more games than Ipswich. And I was like, beg your pardon? I didn't believe it. I was like, no way. But it's not even that it was Ipswich. It's the fact that if you think that they've lost more, they didn't win a game until they played us in November. So they went through all of August, all of September, all of October, and the beginning of November without a win. And somehow they've lost more than us, or lost less than us now. How is that even acceptable? But it's all good because don't forget, all of a sudden this season there's a golden goal difference trophy, and we're in line for it. Jesus Christ,
guys, it's diabolical. I just don't know how everyone's dealing with it, but it's miserable, isn't it? Everybody's miserable.
I'm not even miserable, mate. I'm used to this now. I'm immune to this now. I'm immune to Spurs.
Man, look. We want. I don't want to be losing every week, man. Come on, like, when's the last time we've won a game? When was it? Beginning of December.
Southampton.
Southampton League.
What's that now? We're nearly 2 months. We're nearly 2 months away from our last Premiership win. Now, what is this recruitment team? Levy, what are they doing now in this window? It's what, 21st of January. We've still got no one in. Doesn't look like we're getting anyone in. What is going on?
I'll tell you
guys, what is actually? Does anybody know of anything?
I check every single day, Dan. Every single day on LinkedIn, like they did the medical team, to see if being part of the Spurs recruitment team is available on LinkedIn. Because I want that job. Because you could just literally put your out of office on and do what you want because you don't do anything. Yeah. Like Todd Klein. And Eugene will know a lot about Todd Klein, who came over from the NFL, who had brokered some of the biggest stadium naming right deals in the history of the NFL. Like mammoth. We're talking behemoth deals for the NFL and the franchises. He came here for 4 years. And I think he sent out 3 tweets a year to say, yeah, what did this? That's all you need to do. You get a job at Tottenham, you put your out of office on, and then you go away and do whatever you want.
This is
the only thing on the head here, Brian. Something's annoyed me, yeah, and I love Eugene because Eugene, yeah, you're in America right now, aren't you? Right, where do New England play?
Boston.
Where did New England play to pay? What stadium? What's it called?
Boston.
It's called Gillette Stadium, isn't it? So naming rights can't stop you from being in the NFL. But how come New England play to Gillette Stadium? That's naming rights, isn't it, Eugene?
Yep.
Right. So why can't Tottenham get naming rights if you're in the NFL?
I think they're waiting for a payday. I think Tottenham is waiting for NFL to come in, and that's when they're going to sell the naming rights.
I don't think so, Eugene. I think that's an excuse. I think that nobody wants to invest the money that Daniel Levy's looking for naming rights. That's just me. I don't think that the people are hitting the target that he wants to set it for, because I'm looking at New England Patriots and they play in the Gillette Stadium. So naming rights does not affect the NFL in one way, shape, or form. So that is a weak excuse here from the club here to justify failure of not getting naming rights in the last 4 years. That's just me. So I just want to knock that on the head straight away.
It is a failure. Why had they got it over the line? What is going on? What is going on? This is,
you know what's crazy?
The more
to
I
me,
talk
Dan,
about it, the more it pisses me off. Honestly, it's just a complete wind up. When I came on stream tonight, I was pretty cool, but the more we get into it, it's sickening what's happening right now, isn't it? With our club, our wonderful club, fantastic club.
It's got more mysteries than what's his name? Dan, it's got more mysteries than the Miss Marple, isn't it? Really, there's so many loose ends here that we just have to kind of work it out, isn't it?
We all are. We're scratching our heads looking at this in complete dismay. What's happened? Look, guys. Look, let's talk about the up and coming games. Like, look, we got a game Thursday away to Hoffenheim. What's people's thoughts on that?
Don't give me 2 seconds. I've finished work. I'm going to go onto my computer now. So let me just sign out. I'll come back and rejoin my computer.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a tough game. I think we have struggled in Europe against tin pot teams so far. And Hoffenheim, no, they're not doing great in the German league. They're still in the German league, and the German league is decent. So I think this is going to be a really tough game.
They're not in good form. They're not in good form this side, but that's a warning sign for us, isn't it? Any team not in good form come up against us. They're rubbing their hands together.
Yeah,
they're rubbing their hands together, guys. They're thinking, look, we can get a win here. I don't know. I'm going to look up where they are in that table. I don't know if they've got
15th, I think it is.
15th, same
in the Europa League table?
No, I'm not sure where Europa League table, but I know they're 15th in the Bundesliga. But they've also just signed Gif Orban as well from Lyon. So they've just got a new pacey striker to go up front as well. So that might be peak as well on that game. I'm just looking forward to the game, actually. That could be Osherman part 2, but I don't know.
Guys, honestly, what's the team going to look like on Thursday? Who's going to play? We haven't got Vagulon, Spence. They're not in the squad. Another failure of the squad planning. Who are we going to be seeing at left back? Ben Davies?
Actually, Ben Davies is their only option. We don't have anybody else.
It'll be Archie Gray at left back. It'll probably be Archie Gray at left back. I just don't know who's going to play the right back. That's the it'll be Porro again. And Porro for me, he's overplayed. I reckon he's going to get an injury soon, Porro, because he's played too many games and he's going to have wear and tear on his body sooner or later. For me,
he's not playing well, is he?
No,
we just don't have any options at this point. Regulon is not there. Spence is not there. Ben Davies needs to be a center back.
Mm-hmm.
Archie Grays don't. I mean, it's crazy. If you look at it, it's makes.
Is he going to go there and play the high line? Do you reckon, Ange? Are you going to go there and play the high line?
Yeah. Oh yeah,
probably.
I have no hope. Like the way we play our form, even if we go away to a pub team, just away, we don't do well. So there could be a relegation team, and I'd be like, I'd be happy with a point. It's
Hoffenheim. They're not performing very well in the Europa League this season. They are 26th in the table, 1 win, 3 draws, 2 losses. So and like you said, Philly, they're 15th in the German league.
Mm-hmm.
This is a good.
They've got some good players. I'll be big different Ketic about this. They've got some decent players, Hoffenheim, and I'm interested to see how they play anyway. Because I watch the Bundesliga near enough every week as well, so I'm interested to see how they actually set up. Because there are some decent players in that team, and the way that the way they've got Gif Orban as well, and they just won their last game in the Bundesliga, which is like Rangers when we played them. They just won their last game against. So I'm looking forward to this game, mate. I ain't gonna lie, and I hope Spurs get a result. But am I putting my hat on it? No. I just want to see what the game is going to be like.
Well, they won at the weekend.
Someone said in the chat last night that they got stuffed 5-0 by Bayern Munich a couple of weeks ago. But I was like, imagine what Bayern Munich would do to us right now. It's
I just want to see Mikey Moore start. I want to see Lancashire play up front, and I just want to see the kids. So at this point, for me, it's just watching the kids play. That at least that
we still need the points, though, man. We still need the points, don't we, to get
yeah. But I think
but
they're our best chance. I would rather play Lancashire at the 9 than see Son at the 9 at this point. I don't know.
Charleston at the 9.
Is he fit? I mean, he might play half an hour. I'm not sure.
He's got to play, man. He's got to play.
I can't stand him. I'm sorry. I cannot.
I can't either.
I can't stand him.
He's not a good striker. He's not a good striker. His ball control is poor. I don't like the pigeon. I don't even call him by his name anymore. It's the pigeon for me, man. I don't rate him.
Is he going to miss? I still have PTSD from thinking about how many headers at the end of games did he miss. Just tap-ins. I can't see him
That's
anymore.
all we got, though, isn't it? Richarlison, he has to start. He's fit
now,
raring to go. He's not going to play Lancashire. He's going to play Richarlison.
I know, but that's what I would do.
We all know that. He's not going to play Lancashire. Lancashire's not looking. He didn't play Lancashire against Tamworth.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't want to see Son.
He did play Lancashire away at Galatasaray.
Yeah.
Never ruled it out.
It doesn't make sense, does it? Threw him in there, but then he's not played him again, and he scored a goal as well.
Yeah, but he got sent off as well, isn't it? So you have to remember that too. He's still young and impulsive.
He's been suspended since then, hasn't he? And suspended. He's on a 15-game suspension for getting one red card for throwing him into the lion's den.
For actually putting some effort in.
Yeah, exactly. Nice, bro. Exactly.
So that's what I'm saying. I want to see players who put in effort, and then I can live with whatever happens. But I want to see effort. But seeing Bissouma and Son and Richarlison. I mean, Richarlison does put in effort every time he plays. He's just not good enough.
No, I know he's not good enough. But look, we need somebody. We're desperate, man. We need to get something out of this game. Does anybody think we're going to get anything?
No. A point.
I'm hoping a Spurs victory, but I'm not going to write anything off, mate. I said at the beginning of the show, we're Bertie Bott's flavoured beans. I don't know what team's going to show up, mate. It could be an earwax flavour. It could be something else. I just don't know what team's going to show up on the day. So I hope Spurs win, but I'm not going to put my hat on it, mate.
Okay, I just want to address something with this Ashley, who said Richarlison was your best forward last season, the first 13 games. He couldn't get on the pitch for any of them. He came off the bench to score an equaliser against Sheffield United. He came off the bench in most of them. He came during Christmas and had about a 13-game spell where he scored 10 goals and was prolific, and then got injured. You've kept going on saying about every team plays a high line. They don't play as high line as Tottenham, and they don't play suicide football when they do it. If you're, and then you go, you won't mention that. So if you're going to mention things, at least get your things right. Is all I will say, because it's just when people, this is the thing that is starting to get to me. It's when people now are just starting to make things up. That I mean,
we don't need that.
Come on, Spurs fan or no Spurs fan, come and say what you want, when you want, how you want. But at least have the stats or the right. Someone, I did a video last week with Kuva and Matty K, and it was about how we're broken. And someone said, "Brian, you're an idiot. Don't you realise Ange masterminded a 1-0 win semi-final away at Anfield?" I was like,
That time's only halfway through, my friend. It's only half time.
This is it. It's just that these people, it's just the making stuff up. that just drives me mad. It's like there is so much to hit us with as Spurs fans or banter us if you're not Spurs fans. But when people just make stuff up,
Ashley, go easy in the chat, man. Listen, we're struggling here, man. We don't need your shit. Please stop.
God. With Son in your team last season, you conceded 51 goals. With Richie, you conceded 18. Richie played 13 games. Oh my God, the math. The maths, oh my God.
Like you said the other day, Brian, it's not real, brother.
I told you, Twitter, the people in YouTube and Twitter, they're not real. We're not real. This is some kind of dream. It's not real. It's not real.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just saw that. And now
get back on the game, chat. Let's get back on the
played more games, like 3 times more games than someone. But this one conceded less goals. They're both bloody forwards as well. What has that got to do with goals? It's like when saying Romero plays Spurs scored XYZ when he doesn't play Spurs score. These fans aren't real. These fans honestly aren't real.
Oh my days. Okay, right. Hoffenheim. So line up, Brian. Who do you want to see in the team?
Don't care.
You don't care.
Mate, put it this way. Look, what I will say. Look, when I say I don't care, I really don't. I don't care anymore. But when it comes to it, I wish against Everton he had rested Porro and played Spencer and Reguilon, so they wouldn't have had to put Porro, but he didn't. The team are so threadbare, and now, as Daryl rightly said, Bissouma has picked up a novel injury at Spurs. He's picked up a hamstring. I don't know where that's come from. I mean, never happens at Spurs.
Well, that's a surprise.
So we are absolutely threadbare. We are so they're going to have to play the full 90 minutes. They're exhausted already. And then we've got to come back and play Leicester with the good night, Kate, darling. That's why I don't care, because there's no game management. If the manager doesn't care, why should we?
What did Ange say after that last defeat? I didn't hear it.
Blah, blah, blah.
Wasn't it? More waffle.
Probably.
Yeah.
I stopped listening to Ange, mate, when he said we had gears. I stopped listening to Ange. I said, what gears do Tottenham have? Neutral and backwards. That's the only gears I see at Tottenham, mate. I don't see any gears at Spurs, and that's just me.
But people are saying this is a winnable fixture. Like they're saying
Dad, I'm going to say one thing now, and I am going to then shut up.
Go on.
Ashley. Ashley, are you this silly? I have seen you in this stream the whole time. His latest one at 10-11 is no, not 10-11. 10-11. You go to games and you want change. You're a hypocrite. The two people down here have not gone for years and refused to give him a penny and don't step in the stadium. I have arranged protests, 10 protests. I have stood outside the ground and not gone. Eugene up here lives in America, doesn't go to games. These two, I can't confer, or because obviously I don't know if you go to games.
I haven't been to a game since Pochettino's last season.
There you go.
I refuse to go. I'm not paying the money. I'm not paying the money for this club. Not until I see.
I haven't been since we beat Everton 5-0. But I am going Sunday, but that's because it's a Christmas present.
You did go to games. I saw you doing a CMA. I don't even know what a CMA is.
Now, I'm going to stick up for Brian here. Yeah, Brian doesn't pay to go to the stadium. He actually gets the tickets from. Is it Ben that we at Tottenham? He doesn't pay to go to the stadium, and my brother has told me already, because this is why I call him Mr. Ronseal, right? And he does what he says on the tin, because he doesn't put any money into the club whatsoever, and I will blatantly vouch for that. Now, anyone else who wants to say anything else, say something.
No, it's like literally, if you're. This is what gets me. If you're going to try and come for me about talking the talk about Levyout, you're choosing the wrong person to go to war with. because I don't need to say anything. I've got loads of people that the last time I went into a game was the 2-2 after the Newcastle 6-1. And I went in there because we arranged a mass protest outside and we arranged a mass one inside. Since then, I have refused to step foot in the ground. Every single ticket I have received to go in the ground has been gifted to me for free because I will not spend a penny. I have not spent a penny in the club shop or anything to do with this football club since the summer of the season we did not sign anyone. So much so that when I even go into the stadium, or when I wouldn't even let people buy me a drink because it meant them buying me a drink gave money to Levy. Jesus Christ. It's
He's on one.
It's silliness. I don't even. Do you know what? I don't even know why I'm giving him any attention. It's utter nonsense. It's utter nonsense. But just do a bit of research is what I'd say on who I am. In regards to standing up for Levyout, I'm still there. I live in Toronto. I'm in Toronto, Canada right now.
He's on a wind up, Brian. He's on a wind up.
Yeah. Don't worry. That's the last bit of attention I give to. I don't know what to say. The bot. Let's call it a bot.
Right, where were we? Yeah, we were talking about who we want to play, who we think was going to play in the team. I mean, it's limited options right now, isn't it, because of the injuries? Again, what we're going to face, what we're going to see on Thursday, we need to get some points. We definitely can't lose. And then we got a home game. Is it next week against Augsburg? Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then that's the league phase over.
Yeah.
Look, guys, I mean, I know I've already asked you all, but it doesn't sound like anybody has any hope that we're going to get anything.
No, we should get a result against Hoffenheim. We should get a result against Elfsborg. Elfsborg, yeah, should be a banker. I'm sorry, that should be a banker. And if Tottenham lose to Elfsborg, yeah, I want Ange sacked immediately, straight after the game. There is no ifs, buts, or maybes there. You just sack the man after the game. It's the same with the Tamworth game. If Tottenham had lost the Tamworth game, I wanted them sacked on the pitch the same game. And it's the same with Elfsborg. If you lose the Elfsborg game, yeah, I don't care if it's a home or away, you should be sacked automatically. But Hoffenheim are a weird team. Like I said, they just won their last game, so they could well be on an upward trajectory right now. And Spurs' confidence is on the floor. So really and truly, yeah, we don't know what to expect on Thursday night. I'm just hoping that Spurs can pull out a result. But we're away from home, and we don't play a good way from home, and especially in the pressures of Germany. And you've got young players playing in that squad. I don't fancy Tottenham's chances of getting a result there. I'm sorry, I don't. And the more I think about it, the more I think it's more pressure.
How many points do we need? Sorry, Brian. How many points do we need to qualify for the next phase?
I mean, it's very tight in there. If you look at the standings, even if teams are in under four, so how many points we are? We've got 11 points, and then you go all the way down to maybe 25th Braga or 7 points. You know, they're still thinking that they can qualify and get a playoff place. Even Elfsborg on 7 points. If they get 2 wins, they can get into those playoffs. So these two teams are going to play against in the next 2 weeks, are going to be motivated to get a result against us, and especially playing this Premier League team. And then they're not going to roll over. Let's be real here. We're saying, we should beat Elfsborg and Hoffenheim, we should get a result. But we're not playing well. We're rubbish at the moment.
That's the whole reason they did this league form, isn't it? It's the whole reason they did this league for, so no game's a dead rubber. So there's always something to play for. Exactly. I think we need to win both of them to finish top 8, 9.
Look, we have to finish top 8 so we don't have that banana skin, playoff game.
Yep.
We can't be dealing with more games. The squad can't cope with it. You know, we need to get something.
This is why I said the summer was bored, because even numerically, like I said before, we numerically went into the season with less numbers and more games to come up. That's tactical. That is inept here from the ownership itself here. The fact that you've allowed that to go on. So injuries were always going to play a factor in the season anyway.
Mate, do you remember back in the day when we were all delighted that we only get to play 1 game a week and we couldn't keep players fit?
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember those good old days?
Mm-hmm.
The one day a week, the 1 game a week. Sorry, where we couldn't keep players fit. What magical times they were.
And that's why it makes no sense to me. We're live in all the competitions. We need 2 wins in Europe to move on. We need, we're in the semifinal. We have FA Cup, and still nobody's coming in. There are no players coming in. Like, makes no sense to me. That's criminal. It's so frustrating. Like, honestly, again, forget about Ange. We're live in competition. Sack him, bring somebody in, but bring in some players. We need help. And waiting for 3 weeks before we bring anybody in while we have to win 2 games in Europe, semi-final in Anfield, makes no sense to me.
It's criminal, man. We should have got those players in the first week of January.
Usually, they're going to sign players. Don't get it twisted. Spurs will sign players, but they'll wait until the last minute and they'll call it Levy time, because that is what they've been doing since 2012. They'll do last-minute panic signing and they'll say it was Levy time, and that will be it.
It's like with Porro. We waited the whole month to sign Porro. Yep. We waste a month where we could have gotten 5, 6 games, even more, 7 games, just wasted.
Yeah,
it's insane.
Guys, let's move on. Let's wrap up this one. Predictions for that game, guys. What do you reckon? Anybody want to predict it?
2-1 for us.
2-1. You think we're going to win? Nige, what's that? A draw?
1-1. Yeah.
1-1. And Philly?
I'm going for a draw. I'm going for 1-1. I'm going to join Nige on this one. 1-1.
Brian? I know you don't care.
2-2.
2-2.
That's my heart. My head is, you don't know what's going on in my head.
Yeah.
Let's just stick with the heart. Let's just stick with the heart. The heart's the
positive. Oh, poor thing.
Yeah.
The heart's the positive.
I actually agree. With heart 2-1, head says 1-1. I think 1-1 is that's what's going to happen.
I just think we'll get a horrible draw. It'll be another poor game, another poor performance, struggling, a mess of a performance, but we might just nick a draw. That's the best I can think, really. I've got no confidence at all. Confidence is gone. So, look, let's move on to another fun game at the weekend against Leicester. I mean, we're bad, but Leicester are even worse than us at the moment. I think that's 7 defeats in a row. Am I right with Leicester? Right? Yeah. Rude is under pressure. He's only just come in recently.
So, Joe, I've got a very dear friend of mine who's a Leicester fan. A very, very dear friend of mine in Wayne Holland. A very, very dear friend. And I speak to him very, very often. Do you know what? When I speak to him, I was like, I asked him the other day, because he said, oh my God, we've done it again. We get against Fulham. He said, compared to when they had Cooper, they've actually got a shape and a game plan. They look more structured. They look more disciplined. They look like they know what they're doing. But what's happening is, in defence, they're just switching off at the wrong time. And if you do that in the Premier League, you get punished. And they are creating chances, but not putting them away. But he said, we're looking a lot better. It's just that little switch off that is costing them. So I don't know if Rude is under pressure. Obviously, there's always pressure to stay in the Premier League, but I don't think his job's under threat. They are playing, and I can only go by what he's saying to me, they are playing with a lot more kind of structure than what they were with Cooper. And you have to remember, when we come, or when they come to us and play on Sunday, I'd say about 75% of the team that start against Hoffenheim will start here and be exhausted. And that's the issue.
Yep.
So Leicester's last victory was similar to us when they beat West Ham at home 3-1, but they haven't won since. They've got a draw against Brighton. They lost to Newcastle away 4-0, lost at home against Wolves 3-0, got beaten by Liverpool. City beat them at their ground. Then they went to Villa and lost 2-1. They threw into the FA Cup next round. They beat QPR. They lost at home against Palace, lost at home against Fulham, and now they face the mighty Spurs.
So every team that we've lost to or drew to, except for Aston Villa, who they've lost to. That's how I'm looking at it right now. So we've lost to every other team that they've lost to, except for Aston Villa, really. So I'm looking at this game, and like Brian says, we're going to be stretched to our limits. And like Brian said, 75%. I would actually go higher than that. I would say 80 to 90% of the team that we play against Hoffenheim on Thursday will play again on Sunday, and then that team there will play against Elfsborg the week after. So we can, like I said, we're going to be stretched to our limits here. I don't know what the result is for Leicester. I'm hoping for a draw. That's what I'm going to hope for, a draw.
It's a real concern. I'm with Eugene. That's why I play the kids in the Europa League. Play the kids. If we lose, we lose. We cannot afford to get beat by Leicester. And my concern is if we take what's left of the first team out to Hoffenheim and we get any more injuries, we are literally going to be on our knees by the time we play Leicester. And that could be Ange's last game if he's not careful.
Yeah, but Nige, we also have to win a cup as well. We have to try and win a cup, Nige, to get that monkey off the back. Because if you can't get that monkey off the back, it'll be another year of we go 17 years without a trip without any silverware. And we have fans here who are going into college who've never seen Tottenham lift a trophy. That's not good enough for them, man. That's not football is a rite of passage here that we pass on to our kids and into the younger generation. When I was growing up here, right, we were a team ending in 1. That's long since gone. We can't even pass that team on to the next person, right? We have to win a trophy, at least try and win a trophy this season. And the Europa League for me, was the easiest opportunity to try and do that. But we're going to end up throwing away all these trophies here because the squad itself is stretched to its limits. And that's not good enough for me because this means that the club itself here never took the competition seriously. None of them.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, guys, we're even worrying about beating Leicester now. Come on, this is honestly Leicester. This is the game I think we'll win. I predicted a few weeks ago we would win 1 out the next 10, and Leicester was that one. Come on, look, we must beat them at home. Yeah, there's no option other than that 3 points. Not even a draw. Must win. Must win. Yeah, but it's Leicester. Come on. Look, surely we've got enough to beat them. I just can't get. I know. Like, if it was against someone else, I'll get it. But it's Leicester, guys. Are you really all that down that you can't see us winning? Seriously, all of you.
Do you know what? Just before I'm sorry. This ain't even Ashley. I can't believe we've got a chat in here called Blinky Bill. Blinky Bill. This is what our fan base or trolls have become. Ben Kaufman, who is like a brother to me, who is like family to me, who is someone I will take a bullet for or whatever I need to protect him, has gone, LOL, Ben Kaufman, a coffee pouring cunt. You're pathetic. You're not real. You're a little spineless troll that thinks you can talk hurty words with a name like Blinky Bill and act like the big man. What are we becoming as a fan base or people that come into YouTube chats? I will always. I am very, very protective when it comes to Ben. Very, very protective because people think he could be an easy target. Well, he ain't an easy target because if you do anything to Ben or threaten Ben or go for Ben like that, then you deal with me and other people. And I would suggest that you choose your words carefully and just be civil.
Nothing but Brian, I second that. I've got nothing but love for my little friend, Sammy Uso, brother. I've got nothing but love for him, man. He knows he knows it already. He is brilliant. I love the cough, man. He knows it too. He is proper straight arrow, and I love him for it. And he makes me laugh every day I see him. So thank you very much, Mr. Cough. Thank you very much, Ben K, man. Oh, this one's for you, brother. Hey, look, OTC, baby.
I will always. You know, I do ignore them normally because I've learned to. But when they go for Ben Kaufman, then you pinch a nerve with me, and I don't like my nerves being pinched or seeing it with Ben. So I'm going to drop it there. And I'm going to go back to someone who is always here and is a great person. I'm going to say that because Norm65 said just block them. But I've just realised as well, not only is it the Leicester coming back, we have got Skippy and Wings to deal with.
Yes.
That Skippy Wings partnership that will look like Iniesta and Xavi.
You know, it's Spursy they score, innit? You know, it's Spursy that wanted them score, innit? It'd be Spursy.
Mate, you just can't make this stuff up. You know. Yeah. No, do you know what? If you hadn't have said that, I'd have got all the way to Sunday without even putting that picture in my head. And now I won't be able to get it out of my head, Norm. So thanks for that. Thank you so much for that. Where do we go? Where do we go when you're concerned about the Skip Wings partnership?
It's where we are, isn't it? We just have to laugh. It's all you can do.
Skip
Life is too short, mate.
partnership.
Enjoy it.
Oh dear. I feel like just ending the stream, man. I can't cope, honestly. It's really bad, isn't it? It's really bad. We can't even gather ourselves to talk about beating Leicester, man. Come on, let's sort this out, man. Honestly, Leicester, it's 3 points, surely.
Mate, I've said that the only game, if we all had to put everything we own on one game and say, right, that's the game, the only game I can say that I think we will win for the remainder of the season, I'm being deadly serious, is Southampton at home.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm only saying Leicester is not going to be a win because of Europe. If we hadn't have had Europe, we might be talking something different. But
and what's our form been after European games this season? Remind me. I don't think it's great, is it?
Do you know what? Now you said that. Maybe you should have edited the stream because the information I'm about to give you may not be complimentary. Let's have a look. So here we go. So let me go into Spurs fixtures. Right, let's go back to here we go. When did our European campaign begin? Okay, so the first European game was Karabag, and then the next game we beat United 3-0 at Old Trafford. So it's a good start. Then it was Fenerbahce, and the next game was the Brighton 2-0 up at half-time defeat. Then we beat AZ Alkmaar. We lost to Crystal Palace. We then played Galatasaray, and I was there and did the watch-along with Ben. We lost to Ipswich. We then played Roma, and then we drew at home to Fulham. We then played Rangers, and then we beat Southampton 5-0. So the first and last one, we won, and the 3 or 4 in between, we lost 3, drew 1. So 1 draw, 2 wins, 3 defeats.
What is it?
Now factor in the away games, Brian. Yeah, when you played away European ties and then had to come back to England to play then, because you have to remember that's when you get jet lag.
Okay, so I'm not going to count Rangers in that because obviously, yes, there was a distance, but let's face it, it's like Newcastle away or whatever. So let's go back in time. So Roma was at home. Galatasaray was Ipswich. So that's one loss after Galatasaray. AZ Alkmaar. So Fenerbahce. So we played 2. We've played 2 away games that weren't Rangers. That we've had to travel outside the British Isles, and we've lost both of them.
Fortunately.
You just made it worse.
You get jet lag, brother. What do I expect? You're gonna get jet lag, innit? If you're gonna go and fly abroad and then play on Thursday, fly back again, and you're gonna get jet lag. So you're gonna suffer in the performances for the next one.
You've just made it. Jesus.
I'm just a reader. Sorry.
Fine.
How about some good news? Anybody? Anything?
Yeah.
Seba's injured and can't play.
You've got good news, Eugene, did you say?
Yeah, just anything. Just
Yeah,
something
well,
positive.
some injury news, injury update. Bentancur might be back on the 26th. Romero as well on the 26th. And also Van der Ven, 26th. Kind of.
So they might be back for Sunday. Earliest.
But
I will say the Romero one, he's had a setback. Romero's it's a week setback. What? Not a week as in a week strength. A week, 7 days setback. So that's been pushed back a bit. But the others are pretty much. And there's people laughing about jet lag. And do you know what? Spurs, I bet they get jet. They do get jet lag. They get jet lag traveling to fucking Palace.
Guys, I've got some really good news. I've got some really, really good news.
All right, here we go. I'm ready.
Forrester's back in training on the 23rd.
Hey.
So that means it'll be Brandon Austin in goal tomorrow, Thursday.
Can that young goalie play in Europe? Kingsley.
Austin can, yeah.
Can he play?
Kinski can't.
He can't. He's cup time, right?
When you got to get through the 8 qualifying games. After that, then Spurs and all the other teams can jiggle it about. But for the last
about that, so no Kings. So Austin.
No Kings. Who's in goal then?
Austin.
Austin.
Poor guy. Poor guy. He must be putting in a transfer request. Must be. You guy plays one game and then they'll be bringing another goalie. It's just this doesn't make sense, does it? First game in 7 years, wasn't it? 7 seasons.
Love his job. Brilliant.
In it. It's like who's the I've forgotten his name now. Who? Cameron Carter Vickers. Cameron Carter Vickers is doing very well at Celtic now. I've been at Spurs, never played a single Premier League second, made over £7 million in wages. Pay me £7 million. Pay me £7 million. I'll train every day. I'll train twice. £7 million in wages that man earned for doing absolutely nothing for the first team. Not a single thing. Not a second.
Oh dear, guys. Yeah. All right. Let's start to wrap things up. All right. Unless anybody else wants to say anything about the club, about the weekend games, the weekend game, the future of Ange, predictions when he will go, if he will go. Anybody got a crystal ball?
The longer Ange stays in employment, man, the more it looks bad on Daniel Levy. So I'm saying Ange in because it just shows me that how inept here Daniel Levy is. The fact that you're keeping him here, you're not going to back him. So what's the point in you keeping him here? You're just gonna all you're doing now, is prolonging the week. It's just prolonging this, right? You're not going to sign the players for him, so you're not backing him. But with actions, you're just backing them with words. Now, I got a feeling, that once the window's closed, and we lose to Liverpool, that's the moment that he will sack Ange. But to me, it's a bad reflection of the club that he's still here when you know that we're not going to do anything with him.
So why hasn't Levy sacked him this time? Is it because they're not singing Levy out enough? They're not singing Ange out? It's just to do with the fans, right?
I think it's to do with that. I think the fans are still enamored by Ange. They still think that he can turn it around because they lost on the first 10 games. But when you look at and you see after the first 10 games, and even in the first 10 games, there were games that Spurs was shaky, like the Sheffield United home game. I remember watching that, and that's when I was Ange out because I looked at that game and I thought we were very lucky to win that game. The Pigeons scored 2 goals, but it wasn't that it was a very good game. And I looked at that, and from that moment there, I said, this is worrying here. And then when I watched the Chelsea game, when he was on the halfway line, that was just added more fuel to my fire. But everything else from there, right, the fans are still enamored by him because he's still singing his name at 5-1 down. So you still must have some affection towards him. But if the fans in the stadium turn around and said, Levy out, Ange would be on the next plane out of here. They'll sack him straight away.
Okay. Yeah, it doesn't make sense why he's still here. Obviously, it does because the fans doesn't turn, but performance-wise, normally in history shows the manager's gone. So this is very different, and it's hard to understand it. performance-wise, basically, it's just not been good enough. It's the worst season for what I can remember. Guys, anybody else want to say anything about Ange and when do you think he will go? Is it them cups then that's kind of keeping him in? I don't know, man. It's just exhausting, isn't it? It's exhausting even talking about it. It really gets to you, doesn't it? It gets you down. It really does.
I'm tired of this whole conversation. Like, it's just exhausting. Like, if either keep him and back him, sack him and back somebody else. Just do something. Right now, we're stuck in no man's land. We're not doing anything. It feels like the club is paralyzed, and I have no idea, like, what the issue is. If it's Ange, just sack him, get somebody else in, and let's get going. Because like I said, we still have games to play for, but we're just not doing anything, and it makes no sense to me.
Yeah, I totally get that, Eugene. That makes sense. Like, we don't know what we're doing, not signing anyone, but we're keeping him. What
Eugene, you started that, and 75% of what you said was right at the start. You said sack him or back him, which is whether we like it or not. If the club are saying they're going to back him. But then you said something very funny. You said, "Oh, hire someone else and back them." Hire someone else, they might do. Back them, they most certainly will not. And they'll only have a week to do so. I think if he doesn't win against Leicester, he's gone. That's where I am. That's where I'm pitching my
Vardy hat trick.
Yeah.
Nah, mate. Skip and Winks. Skip. Norma's done it for me.
25 yarder.
I'm going to be having nightmares for the next few days about Skippy and Winks. I'm actually, honestly, I swear to God, one of them score. One of them score, and the other gets an assist. That's what I'm going to go for. Whether we score 2 in return, one of them's going to score, one of them's going to get an assist. And I'm going to thank Norm for that.
Just what Rich says here about he's not happy the way he endlessly protects the board. Guys, comments on that?
I said this already. I'm not playing anymore.
No. Nige, anything to say before we wrap up?
No, I think he could be gone by the weekend. But I feel like I've been saying that for weeks, so who knows? But definitely think if we don't win at the weekend, he will be gone this time. Who takes over? I don't know. But
I mean, I said the same thing about Everton when I was talking to Jords earlier. I said, if we lose at Everton, Ange is gone. He's going to be sacked. And yet here we are. So again, I have no idea what Levy's thinking at this point.
And I agree with this comment here from Rich. Keeping him here because he's burnt so many bridges and has struggled to convince managers to come.
That's what it is.
What I sometimes refer to our managers are, you know, when kids go 10-pin bowling, they put like the bumper things on the railings so they don't get gutter balls. Basically, Ange Postecoglou is that. He's the things to stop you getting gutter balls so it doesn't go to Levy. He is the biggest shit, every single manager. But the thing is, this club has run out of PR spin now. So when he does go, and this the sole reason I think he's here is because he knows if he fires him, yes, there's going to be a lot of fans that are going to be delighted. There's going to be a lot of fans that will be like, yeah, thank God. There's going to be some fans that are disappointed that it's another but it will all come back to you try something different. You didn't back it and give it its full go. And once again, we've gone round in this circle and we've come back to exactly where we are again. We're always, there's never, you know, when you're going up those multi-story car parks, you go round and round and round, you go higher and higher. All we do with the manager is go round. Oh no, it didn't work.
But brother, I said this to you in an app in a what's his name before. I said to you, all I have to do here is to give Daniel Levy enough rope and let him hang himself, and that's exactly what he did. He hung himself, bro. There's no, you can't do a win now manager, and you can't do a project manager. So what managers are left there for you to do? You can't win with any manager. And that's the conclusion that I came to years ago. Tottenham will not be successful with any manager. Because at the end of the day, Daniel Levy will be Daniel Levy, yeah, and he'll think that he knows better than everybody else, and we won't go anywhere. And that's the end of it.
It's caught up with him. All this years of failure has finally caught up with him.
Yeah.
That's what I think. It's karma.
He's clever though, isn't he? Because obviously Ange is protecting him at the moment. While Ange is out, he's not getting as much of the flack. But he's also hired people like Lange, like Munn. So when the shit hits the fan, he'll sack them before it comes back to him, and he'll try something else.
I'm going to tell you now, as of this season, Tottenham on Tour tries to do this real big community thing where we did, like all the other channels do, the Fantasy Football League. And we were going to cover it and do it weekly and have shows and bits. But obviously, like everyone, Fantasy Football League, I joined a team just to be part of it. But as soon as I've had an injury or suspension, I forgot to put a player in. I'm like, oh, fuck it off for the season. But this season, once it ends, and this summer, Tottenham on Tour are going to come up with brand new initiatives for community things like, let's put on bets on when the next manager will be sacked. And you all put a $5 in, and we'll say 50% goes to the winner, the other 50% goes to a mental health charity. There's loads of games we're working on because this is what we've become. Like I said, transfer window, you have no idea how much fun I'm having. I don't even look at the players' names linked. It's all about the buzzwords. It's all about the buzzwords. And just taking the piss out of it because we know what's coming. It's come to the point where you've just got to have fun at our expense because we don't have fun watching the football. It's become, when I go to Tottenham now, I go to Tottenham for meeting people for breakfast, having drinks in the coaching hall, obviously me, not alcohol, but coaching horses. Then they go to the game and I stay in the pub. Then we meet up after, go for a curry or do whatever we do. That's become the event.
Yeah.
The meeting point is Tottenham because there's an actual, obviously there's a game, but the actual entertainment, the fun, and the reason to come out isn't the football. It's the social aspect. It's so sad.
It is. It is sad. Right, let's wrap it up tonight. Thank you for all jumping on tonight, Eugene, Jords, Philly, and Brian. Thank you all for jumping on the stream. Big up to everybody in the chat as well. Thank you so much for watching us tonight. It's been tough, real tough stream, but we keep coming on here. We're not going to stop. You know, we can't hide. We'll keep talking about Spurs, and we just have to pray for better times. What those better times look like, we're on the floor right now, guys. We're absolutely on the floor. So I just want to say good night to everybody and take care. Enjoy the rest of your evening and good night.
Levy out.
Guys.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Go on.